punch first. Ask questions while punching.
Everybody dies. Some just need a little help.
Masked Justice? The fuck is that? So bad, dude.
Guard up.
Goodbye, I'm Lucian. Okay, let's see. Abilities marking this cost will take extra action from your allies. Gain ability haste snowball.
The enemy moves slowly without thought. If I were out there, this would be over in an instant. Ain't enough bullets in the world for a must be hard fought.
I will not cease. You always fight so poorly.
Lag again.
What we had can still be. And don't forget your good friend
Always get beating the snowballs, dude. Full health 5, full health fucking Katana, fucking full health Glimmer. Christ. Get somebody fucking else, dude.
defending Koshin is my duty. One that I shall
Someone else. Fuck you.
Get back to fighting.
Here we go, another snowball right at me. Fuck Tristana, right? Just leave her alone. Let her fucking free hit you guys in every fight. We gotta get Delusion.
You can cleanse anything. Right ammunition.
Oh no, he's going Maybe if I put it in windowed, I don't know. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, this is better. What the fuck? They fixed it! They fixed it! I'm not lagging anymore.
I am glad to see the spirit blossom again. Despite all
Oh, I still have 800 rolls. Fuck.
there is still
Okay, and of course. Why don't you just say this and they don't tell you what it is? Like, backstab passive. What the fuck is that? I don't know what that is.
my duty, one that I upheld to my last breath. But after the war... Wait, are you still listening to this old man's rambling? Get back to fighting!
Every 2 seconds, I have 800 fucking people using every ability on me imaginable. Why? Hit somebody else. I'm not doing that much, dude.
Oh, someone's gonna pay. Some lessons cannot be passed from teacher to student. They must be
Go. Let's see if anybody even gives a fuck that Tristana exists. Let's see. I'm gonna stand over here, so it's like the opposite side of her. Soraka. Okay, there you go. Hit me again. Maybe go for Soraka though. Oh, there goes another one on me. Fucking cool. Oh, there's another one on me. Just fucking Jace. Full health Tristana. Nobody gives a fuck. He even exists. Holy fucking shit. Oh, now he cares. Now he tries to shoot her. Oh. Only when I'm dead.
Looks like no peace for me today. I am glad to see the spirit blossom into true again. Despite all that ails the first lands, there is still hope. Ashes and dust. Sure, you were real good.
A lot of gold.
Fancy word for someone with never.
He doesn't even give a fuck. He's directly under the turret, fucking sides me. He doesn't even care that he's gonna die or not do anything. He just fucking goes for it because I'm Lucian. He just really wants to kill me.
It is painful to seeing something good.
Bitch. Dude, I'm loving the gold I'm getting. Holy fuck. Fucking Jace is in the bush. Again, shooting me with a fucking Q. Another fucking EQ on Lucian. Holy fuck, dude.
Saw the beginning after all these years. Many mysteries have not
Look at this shit! Snowball, snowball, snowball! Fucking Jesus Christ, dude. It is bitch. Fuck you. Almost had him. Like, bro. Jesus, dude. They don't even care.
Don't turn your back on a wolf.
Exists. Every ability on me, every single fight. How are you not? Holy fuck, this guy's useless. Dashing, Liddy, and doing a base.
I am the fist of shadow no longer comes back. You stare into the mist, and the mist stares back.
Even care. She's alive. She's waiting for me, dude. See that? But she's standing right here and he doesn't care. He's just in the bush still, waiting for me. What the fuck, dude? Holy shit. Get me the fuck out of here.
Defending caution was my duty, one that I upheld to my last breath. But after the war... Wait, are you still listening to this old man's rambling? Get back to fighting! It ain't the grave I fear. Weaklings will not last.
I'm bad at this game, bro. I'm so fucking bad at this game. Why did it do that? I can't resume in when I go to the spiritual dance and it zooms out, like for no reason. I don't understand.
Is where I fight the dead.
Shit goes right for me. Fuck you. I'll take down, create explosion.
A sound strategy can save your life. It's a hell of a thing.
Blade of the Ruined King? I don't know.
War waits for no one.
Vandal gunners, what do you think? Surge of smoke and victory.
Surface.
I miss the smell of life.
What? That still got me? Okay. So fucking lame. Look at this. Full health! Full health! Full health. Wild. They don't even care that this guy exists. Unreal, dude. What is this? Deceive. If you teleport, become invisible for 3 seconds. Wait, you teleport and become invisible for 3 seconds. Your next attack when invisible is additional 600. Oh, it's like Shaco.
Though I no longer wield those arrows, I pray its new owner remembers what I taught her. Make your choice and control me.
Close.
Did you think someone would see you?
Oh my god. I'm not taking damage. Holy shit.
It is freeing to see such spirited youth run off to battle like this. A luxury I never was granted. Maybe it's best I don't. So much death. Don't listen anymore.
My mouse freaked out. Put me on a different sensitivity. Like a pinata. Gold pinata. Holy shit. Bitch, get fucking baited.
I pray it's no longer remembers what I promised. Just
Going in! Ba-ba-ba-bum.
defending Koshin was my duty, one that I upheld to my last breath. But after the war,
Oh yeah, I can't even play ranked. Fuck. I'll play another one based on what champion I get. If I get a good champion, I'll play. If not, I'm fucking out of here. Huh. Whoops.
Nice to meet you. I'm hungry. I mean,
Pigs?
I guess
Really,
I'll take
dude?
the list.
Oh, this is terrible. Hopefully somebody dodges. This is fucking dog shit. Okay. That was an interesting glitch. I exited the client, but as I exited the client, I got somebody else exited, and instantly got another match. So, okay, I'm gonna try one more time. Yeah. The fuck was I gonna do? I forgot. Oh yeah, that's right. Logitech, where is it? This. Okay, doesn't look like I can adjust the settings. Good review. Hello. Jerry.
A spark
That'll be
is
fun.
all I need.
Wow, this is one of the worst teams I've ever seen. Cho'Gath, Zeri, Kindred, Akshan, Jin. Oh, nice. Okay, we got a moon now instead of Kindred. Anyway. Yeah.
Finally, some peace and quiet.
Window capture. Why isn't it on the screen? Hello? Okay, I guess it just doesn't fucking work again. Just another useless dog shit fucking piece of garbage software that sucks ass and never does what it fucking says it's gonna do. Cool, dude.
Defending Koshin is my duty.
Whoa,
One that I
crazy
upheld
weapon.
to my last breath.
Great.
But after the war... Wait, are you still listening to this?
Not let you get the kill. Fuck you.
Spark ready.
Can't do anything cool. I want to play this shit, dude. This is so fucking good. Look at this shit. Oh, you can't even see it because the fucking
I like the
computer doesn't
colors.
work. Cool.
Talk big, but don't break.
Let's try not to do that again.
Ah, fresh air. A rare treat. Gotta brush that one.
What have you
Okay.
learned?
Gay now.
I love sneaking.
The enemy moves slowly and without thought. If I were out there,
I belong here. Always walked
I didn't really think that was gonna hit. Bitch. This guy immediately fucking jumps in and dies. Get lethal temple and conquer, become tiny with this weave. Maybe. Oh, okay, well, I just marked that. Sick. Yeah, that sucked anyway. I had no energy to play Zeri, bro. I just don't. I gotta warm up. Fucking hell. Living room. Yeah. What?
Right. the concentration camps that Barry King is referred to in Germany, and the use of concentration camp victims in precise blood groups. And you concurred that she was just messaged me saying that the Germans are very interested in blood group B, and they used this in the programmable generator life forms so they could then take grey souls.
Right, and you superimpose that into the body. Okay, I think that the Germans are not only interested in blood group B. I think they're also extremely interested in any of the rhesus negative blood, particularly O negative and actually AB negative. AB negative is the rarest of all of the rhesus negative blood groups. But going back to B, B positive or B negative blood group works like a hive blood group, works like a hive mind blood group. Not to say that anybody who has B blood is not an individual themselves, it's just on a collective level. They are working for a single agenda without knowing it. So if you could amass a huge amount of people with blood group B, then you could have a sort of an army working for you, and each individual would be unknown that they are actually part of the collective.
Well, that would be some kind of a gang stalking situation then, where you could get an awful lot of people who would respond to that.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of people who have blood group B.
Now, it's interesting from my point of view, and also some more work that's been, data that's been published, is on, Andrew Power has written a very important book about Ireland, Land of the Pharaohs.
Yes.
And Ben, the hospital porter, has done a bit of an analysis on that and had a chat with Andrew Power. Andrew Power is somebody who's did some research about the matrix control of Ireland, and how the Battle of the Boyne was actually a ritual and not a battle. But the important thing about this is another person has found out that Northern Ireland is very highly rhesus negative.
Okay.
So from the point of view of programming people...
Yes, it's a lot easier to do. And that's why you have, Northern Ireland is a extraordinarily locked down facility, and the upside to having O negative blood or rhesus negative blood is that it has and absorbs a much higher amount of oxygen into it. So the body allows far more oxygen into the blood. So for example, if you were a runner, or if you were a fighter, or if you did anything physical, your endurance would be longer and you would be more explosive. The downside to having rhesus negative blood is that they run out of steam very quickly. They have to stop and they have to regroup and then go again. The O positive blood has a much longer endurance. It's not explosive. So if you had an army of rhesus negative an army of rhesus negative, then they would be excellent in a very short term. They could destroy something that's necessary very, very quickly. It's just that only lasts for a very short period of time. They're very explosive, but then they burn out quickly.
So you'd use them hit hard,
and then pull out, and then use your endurance. Yes. But they do hit harder than any other of the blood streams, and then there's the nature of the blue blood, because the oxygen into the blood, then it's a higher copper content. Thus, when oxygen hits the blood, it turns a slightly bluish color.
So is that related to the Greys or reptilians or the two families? Most all of the reptilian beings, the Alpha Draconis, and I mean, if there's 6 or 7 types of reptilians that are on this planet. Some snakes, some velociraptor looking, some actually look like dinosaurs, but generally they have, the shape-shifting ones all have rhesus negative blood. You don't, okay. Okay, so with the super soldier topic, the benefits of having the rhesus negative are that it is easier for the queen, quote unquote, queen bee to take control of all the rhesus negative, because they are working like that.
but they do have O positives working also with them. It's just the O positive are a lot more difficult to control, but through trauma, I mean, it's like we were talking about earlier, a lot of the children die when they go through this process, but the ones who do survive, the O positives that do survive, are extremely beneficial to that, because the endurance goes on and on and on and on and on.
So what about the current situation? The last interview you mentioned a lot of the children that died in your program.
Yeah.
Could you really describe what your program involved? And of course this connects us with James, who's now being arrested.
Okay. So I have flash sort of memories, and they start from really when I was at the first school that I went to, which was in Sussex, and I started to have memories then. And then after that they were sporadic. So then after that I sort of remember being, so first of all maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, then nothing, and then more like 11, 12, 13 years old, and then when I sort of blocked it out. Then as I reached my mid to late 20s, I wasn't able to block it out anymore. I think that I began to use drugs or alcohol because I didn't want to face what was going on.
When did you start this? When did this happen?
In terms of self-abuse in that way, well, it started when I was very, very, very young. When I was 2, 3, 4, 5, I have multiple memories of things coming into my room, and it always happened in the room. And they were some nasty things.
What do you mean by nasty things?
Sort of sexual, intrusive sexual things. A lot. I remember seeing a lot of witches, sort of minds, that stereotypical looking sort of witches. I would be taken out of my bed. I'd sort of float up above my bed, float up through the roof of the house, up further and further, and then I'd go through a set of black clouds. I'd go above the black clouds, and then I'd sort of see even almost like a stereotypical looking Macbeth. The witches of Macbeth sort of round a cauldron, and they'd be cackling, and then when I'd see that I'd go into shock and I'd freeze, and then I'd kind of black out and feel myself lying back in the bed again. So because this went on continuously when I was very young, and I used to call for my parents, and then after a while they stopped coming, so I had to start dealing with it myself. Now when I was 15, 16, 17, I'd sort of forgotten that had happened. When I was 15, 16, 17, something happened, and something triggered me, and I think it was probably a very close friend of mine said something, and I heard a click in my head, and I remembered all the things that had happened again.
What happened?
All the things I just talked about, which were the unpleasant things as a kid. They all came back at once.
I mean, do you think, when did that happen? I mean, do you think you were being deprogrammed or something?
I think something was happening where, I mean, the main thing that they didn't want to me is to ever remember anything like this. They want me to remember, they want me to think that I've had a straight, normal sort of life with its ups and downs that everybody has, but my reality is this, and that's what it was. And when I started to remember when this happened when I was 17, I freaked out, I panicked. And when I panicked, I had all these flashes back that when the sun started to come down, I started to get this terrible, terrible feel like something bad was going to happen.
So what was the sun?
I don't know what it was really, but I was fine. I would usually, this is in England, I would usually be fine up until about 6 or 7 o'clock. And then when the sun started going down and started getting dark, all these feelings started to invoke inside of me, like whatever happened when I was a kid was about to happen again. So I started to self-medicate, and I used to drink wine with my...
What do you mean by self-medicating?
So I used to drink wine with my mum. When I was 17, 18, and I found when this started to happen, I found I'd have a glass of wine or I'd have a beer or whatever, and slightly these feelings and these memories would subside. So I'd sort of worked out, well, shit, you know, if I don't want to feel these things anymore, so I found something that will repress them. So that was around 17, 18, and when I learned the medication, how to self-medicate, it sort of perpetuated itself from there. So then I learned, okay, well, I don't want to feel that way. I'm going to do whatever I can to not feel that way. So what happens is when you keep repressing and keep repressing and keep repressing, it sort of becomes like a boiling point. You can only repress to a certain extent before everything comes out in one go. There had been a number of times through my 20s when I had realized that that addiction had become part of me, not for fun, but it had become part of a way of life for me because I didn't want to address any of those things. And it does work very well, because if you use that, you can basically believe or convince yourself that none of this stuff ever happened. Leading on from there, as I turned towards 30 years old, I had a complete snap.
In the Monarch program,
yes,
it seems that once you hit about 30, the Monarch program starts to decline.
It seems to me that the alters and the programming start to bleed through and break down around that age. So and I was part of alpha programming, beta programming. Alpha being there's delta programming as well. So I was actually thrown into all of those things, but they started to bleed through. I turned 30, just past 30, 31, and there was nothing I could do about it. Delta.
Those categories of programs, just
yeah. Delta programming generally is a form of assassination or a form of getting information through physical means. Yes, so this is it's sort of your basic military attack programming. That's what that is. That's Delta. Beta programming is used 80%, usually 80%, which is Monarch, 80% of women, and there are 20% of men which are used, which is also sexual programming. So giving and receiving information through sexual means. So a spy would be able to go meet up with somebody, have sex with them, and then download the information that was necessary from the person to collect it into their cells, then go back to whoever you are working for, have sex with this person, and then download the information to this person. So it is all done through that means.
Now, how do they do the download?
How do they do it?
When you say download, you sort of look at somebody's eyes.
Okay, so as soon as the sexual act is done, then the two energy fields of the people merge. And if you are shown or trained in a specific way, most often unconsciously, then this information is then downloaded to the energy field of that person. And then you can be hooked up to a machine, or you can have sex with somebody else, and then that person gets the information. It's being done a lot by the Russians. They're sending out 13, 14, 15-year-old girls out into certain areas in the US and the UK, and sex acts will be done with high businessmen, and the information then will be taken and given back to where the KGB, if that exists. You know what I mean?
So it's been still in use. It's very effective.
It's very effective because nobody thinks that is the way that it's done.
And
absolutely.
then the whole point is that the actual person themselves doesn't know they've got the information.
Yeah, absolutely, most often.
Right, and then the other thing is that if you get rid of that person, your resources, you haven't really expended too much resources.
No, because there's plenty of other ones who can do the job again.
Now, is this where these children are collected? I mean,
okay, so going back to that, so when I was talking about the children who were involved, so that I'm going to mention Montauk, which is just off of New York. I'm not exactly sure that I was in Montauk, but when I look at it, it is very familiar to me. But wherever I was, it was an identical layout and setup to the Montauk experiment. And then there are a number of other ones just exactly like that.
Now, this is very important because Lisa was doing an awful lot of work on this, and she's collaborating with Peter Moon, who's written a lot of the
Love
Montauk
Peter Moon.
books.
Yes.
You know, there's a whack of stuff going on there, connecting with this concentration camps.
Yeah.
But there's smoke signals which indicate that Rudloe Manor
Yes.
and Warminster, very close to Devizes in Wiltshire, may have had some kind of involvement with this stuff, but that's only just little whiffs of smoke. The thing is that a previous soldier who's spoken is saying that there's something that the stuff that he was exposed to was in the artillery. Is just horrendous stuff.
Yeah. In terms of that, what I have seen is I've seen those spiders that are about. I have to be when I see them. I'm in an in-between state. It's not like I can look up and see them now, and it's just before I fall asleep, or if I'm in like an in-between state, that's when I see them. And they're about this big, and they seem more mechanical than actual beings. And I've seen them many times, and sometimes maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 of them crawling across the ceiling. Not only that, when I was living in an apartment in Los Angeles, I fell asleep one time. And I knew I was under attack at that moment, and I heard these things rushing and across the ground, and they were squeaking and they were sort of scuttling around. And when I looked at them, I could see that they sort of looked. I know it's going to sound strange, like gremlins. They looked like actual from the movie Gremlins, and they sort of seemed to be mischievous things to cause sort of more chaos, and they always seem to be around when there was these shadow beings around too. So whatever these little scuttle things are controlled. And
well, a lot of people are now seeing these things.
The ones that run along the ground?
Scuttlers. I saw them first in a transmitter. Kerry Cassidy says she's seen them. Lisa's seen them. Some of the crop circle people have seen them. Big things, very large ones.
Yeah, these ones I see are about this big, and they look like gremlins. They have ears like that. They have teeth. They make noise and they laugh. They're just like mischievous, like running around things.
And they're not nice.
No, they're not nice, but they're not evil. But they're mischievous, and they're working for something. They sort of hide things, and they sort of they bring around sort of negative energy too. That ties in with something that, if I can just say this ties in with something very bizarre that happened. I was living in an apartment 222, which ties in with these things. This was in Los Angeles, and one morning I got a letter in the mail, and the letter was addressed to me, and it was from something called the Neptune Society. And I'd driven when driving down Ventura Boulevard in Los Angeles, there's this huge building. You can't really see, there's windows, but you can't really see anything about it. And on the top it says Neptune Society. That's all, there's nothing else. So I'd seen it since I was a kid. I'd never knew anything about it. I received a letter in the mail, and it said the Neptune Society. I opened the letter, and all the letter was saying, it says, "Dear Mr. Spears, have you ever considered being cremated when you die? Cremation," and it gives me all these reasons why cremation is a far better way to go than being buried. And it was about this long, and it was signed at the bottom, "If you have any more queries or anything else, please don't hesitate to contact us." So I left it on the side of the breakfast area where I was, and then I went to sleep that night. Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning I woke up, and I heard this crackling sound, and I sat up, and the whole of my kitchen was on fire. All the front of the breakfast area was on fire. The food was on fire. The flames were like coming off like this.
Now, was this actual or virtual?
It was actual flames.
All right.
All the top of the thing was burned, and the letter that was on there had completely burned out. I ran up, I jumped, I put the fire out, and also all the gas was turned on. All the gas from the oven was turned on.
Ah.
Now,
well, that would be one way of cremating you.
Yes, I thought that was extremely...
Probably doesn't do a very good job, though.
I had feelings it was connected to the Hellfire Club. And because
you mentioned the Hellfire Club is interesting because I think it involves Jimmy Savile and also the methodology of Marie Kayali's daughters.
Really?
Attempted incineration in hospital.
They like that. There's something because there's something about the element of fire which allows these beings to come through.
The ring of fire.
Yes. Well, there you go back to the Johnny Cash song. That's the Ring of Fire. Johnny, he's talking all about that. That's what he's talking about. It's a hellfire ritual. But when I left, when I got up that morning to leave the house, there was a black Suburban, tinted windows Suburban sitting outside the front of my building, and on the license plate it said "Blow You Up." And as I woke up,
so they were basic. Oh, that was in the dream.
This is real.
Oh, this is real.
The flames were real. Waking up was real. The car was real.
So they're basically letting you know.
That was 2011 that happened. And you know what day it happened? It happened on August the 12th. And August the 12th is a very specific day because it is connected when Sirius is at its highest point in the sky. August 11th, 12th, and 13th are called the dog days because the dog star is the most visible. Now, Crowley got married on August the 12th because he sees it as when Sirius has its highest effect on this planet, and he was trying to bring in an
That
open.
wouldn't happen every August the 12th, would it?
What's that?
It wouldn't happen every year, would it?
What doesn't happen every year?
That Sirius would have its most...
Yes, every single year.
Okay.
And at that point, so there are negative and positive factions coming from Sirius. He was trying to open doorways to bring the certain ones from Sirius through here. When I started to get close to what was going on with that and what was going on with the dog days, they wanted me out, and I was okay. It was fine. There was a couple of other things on the 13th of August and the 14th of August, there was a couple more attacks that I had. Out of nowhere, my whole apartment became infested with cockroaches within a 24-hour period. Cockroaches coming out of everywhere. So
now, is that an actual placement of them, or is it somebody did materialize them in? Or?
I think that I was being. It was the heaviest attack that I've ever had.
I mean, this is the kind of thing you only sort of see in horror movies.
Yes, and it was absolutely real. On top of that...
So how did you get rid of them? What happened?
I went and told the landlady, I said, this is going on, and I had to stay out of the apartment for a week, and she sprayed everything, and got rid of the majority of them. They didn't come back.
And has this happened to other people? I mean, was it just a dirty apartment, or...
No,
this was a block. I mean, was this something...
No, it was a very nice apartment. And it was, but then the number of the apartment was 222, which is... it's a resonance of me because that's my birthday, 222. But
and the important thing about resonances is that's a mechanism of getting things through.
Yes, 222 is also a doorway. Right next to the front door of the apartment, there was a hall, like an archway like this, and 3 o'clock in the morning again. The next, on the 13th, I think, I thought I got out of bed. I went to go over. I heard a noise, and something came out of the wall. What it was, I think I was dreaming, but I was half dreaming, half awake. It looked like the stereotypical what predator looks like. I don't know what they are. I had never seen one before, but when it came up to me, came close to me like this. It was still for a second, and then it screamed in my face to invoke as much fear as possible. I had learned at that point, I was had a deep understanding of solfeggio and sound harmonics, and I knew the harmonics to do with my voice to try and help it, to try and get rid of it. I did this sound, which is the HU, H-U. It's a certain frequency sound, and when I did it, it sort of got back into there. This period of time...
This is important. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be that sound from anybody else's voice. For your voice,
yeah,
it works.
Yes. Yeah, the HU sound, yes.
Yeah.
You can find that on YouTube.
Yeah, but for other people, it wouldn't necessarily work.
If you hit
because of basically the resonance of the voice is the important thing.
Yes. There are certain sounds, there is a certain sound that they cannot stand, that they panic and they run away from. And
well, like in this spoof science fiction comedy film, Alien Invasions from Mars or whatever it is.
Oh, Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of truth in that movie.
They used yodeling country music as a means.
That's funny. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was I stayed in that apartment.
Just while we're on the movie, anything in that's just true that.
Well, I don't know that movie as well. I know They Live, and in the movie They Live, and in They Live, there is a sound, there is a frequency. I don't know if you remember it towards the end that Roddy Piper goes to, and it's a frequency that's being beamed out, which enables these aliens to look in human form, and when he breaks this frequency, then they're all seen. Yeah, I've noticed since we've changed to digital now, my senses have become extremely heightened, and even when I'm just listening to the TV, or even when you turn the volume down, I hear this sound frequency coming from the television that completely messes with my pineal gland.
Now this is important because another member of the base's back room, so to speak,
Right.
the thing is that he had devised a device to encrypt records on CDs so that it wouldn't be able to be copied.
Right.
But it was a type of acoustic thing as opposed to some kind of digital trademark encryption.
Right.
And when he played this in the record executive of the board, a number of the board just freaked out because they were reptilian. So he
Completely freaked out, I'm sure, yeah.
So there's a particular sound
That they
which affects
cannot
them.
stand,
Yes.
yeah, because it alters the holographic projection that they're keeping. And I think it's a misconception that they are actually shape-shifting. Some are, but it's a misconception.
Yeah.
What they're actually doing is altering your visual cortex to
Yes.
make you think you're seeing them that
Yes,
way.
absolutely, yes.
And this is very important as well, you know, because you can that's the truth. They're not actually looking that way. They've just manipulated your mind to think that they are.
And that must work through all kind of visual media. Otherwise, you'd see a lot of these aliens walking around on TV.
Absolutely, yeah. I've noticed a lot of newsreaders, because they're doing that as an indoctrination and conditioning. If you look at newsreaders, because they're the ones who are in your house every day. Look carefully at the newsreaders. It's slowly drip conditioning you to accept.
BBC is the worst, I think.
Yes.
I mean, ITV, I can't watch it.
I heard somewhere that the true acronym of BBC, and it's not British Broadcasting Company, and I can't remember it now. But you might want to look into that. Yeah. Also it comes up to
isn't very
7.
nice.
B2, and C3. 7 is the number of the serpent.
Right. And it's interesting that in the early days of broadcasting, it was a British Broadcasting Company,
Ah, okay.
not corporations.
Not
So-
corporation. So now it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of things. There's some radio amateurs who are trigged about broadcasting. Something happened.
Yes.
They're beginning to see, look, when broadcasting started, and we adopted the types of broadcasting we use.
Sure.
They've noticed that something started to happen in society.
Yes.
And this, of course, links with my stuff with Caroline and all that sort of stuff.
Can I just go?
Waffling about MK Ultra switching off at 30.
Yeah. Okay, so I can tell you what happened then. So in March of 2008, I was living in a shared house in the north part of the San Fernando Valley, which is in Los Angeles, and I started. I mean, I've never had voices in my head. I never had that. I never had that before. I just sort of had an understanding. But that night in March of 2008, right around, just after when Heath Ledger died, and Heath Ledger, he played the Joker in Batman.
Oh.
He died on January the 22nd, which is interesting because the number 22 is in sync with the Joker card and the Fool card in the tarot card deck. And so there was, there's all the...
And being a Joker and all that.
Absolutely, yes.
So you're suggesting that basically the Batman movies have got some kind of ritual magic involved?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And
why was he murdered? What did he...
He was murdered... Well, his real father... wasn't the father that that is shown to the public. His real father was a very famous actor, and I've forgotten his name now. He did a lot of theatre in the 50s and 60s. I forget his name. When I remember it, I'll let you know.
Why is it necessary to have a different father than your real one?
Well, they often will take...
In the public domain?
They'll often take... Because they don't want any association, and they like to try experiments, and a lot of it is lab rat stuff to test out, but...
But I mean, it's also... You get lumbered with being so-and-so's father, and nobody watches you because of that.
Right.
Oh,
I
think you just... Just we'll make sure your plug's in.
Anyways,
So, yeah.
so in March of 2008, some strange things started happening to me. I had some extremely vivid dreams, and then I got taken out of my body and shown that my life, as I thought it was not. The memories that I had, my childhood memories, were not what I quite thought they were. And for about 2 weeks period of time, I was shown memory after memory after memory of what was really going on. And I remember being taken to underground facilities at different points, some of them in Sussex, some of them in Kent, and some of them with people who I knew from school, but would have no clue that they were involved at all. And I would sort of come to on a minibus, or a bus where there were 3 of us on one side, 3 of us on the other side, and sort of in a dazed state. And then we'd go somewhere and then black out again, and this sort of led for me to. I was seeing it from in the corner of the room, but we would being given tests, and they would give something.
Who was
like,
giving you?
Who was giving? Okay, so there was a woman at the front.
How was she dressed? I mean,
she was dressed not uniform, but very well dressed. You know, dressed up as if she was a banker or a businesswoman.
Well, that was imply that it's in some very salubrious environment where
Yeah.
she has to be dressed.
Yes, and there was also.
In other words, a place that's in public domain.
Yes, but it was underground, so it was below. I'm not talking seriously underground, but it was below wherever.
I mean, you were taken down in the lifts. How do you know you were underground?
Well, I was driven down. There was a slope that we were driven down under, and then it was down
Who's
there.
we?
Me and these 5 other kids that were there, some boys, some girls, but when we were there, we were sort of in a dazed state, so we weren't communicating with each other.
Can you remember any way on how you were collected?
Really, I only remember all of a sudden being in the van. I don't remember being taken. I just remember all of a sudden being in the van, and being sitting in sort of like rows of desks, and then it was very cold, and it wasn't warm. There was no warmth coming from the people that were there. There was a male who was standing by the door, a female at the front dressed as I was saying, and then somebody would bring round sort of, but it wasn't a Rubik's Cube though, but it was like an unfold. It was like there's something called Rubik's Magic, and it's where you unfold it like this, and then you have to put it in again and fold it to try and make. And they were doing tests to see how fast certain ones were able to do it.
That explains. It's one way of testing a form of visual conceptual thinking.
Yes, yes. And I felt like, but when they put it down initially, I was like, what am I supposed to do? I have no clue what I'm supposed to do. And then they said, just do it. And then I started touching it, and as soon as I started touching it, I immediately knew how to do it, and I did it very fast. So some of the other kids, and the kids were at the time when this was going on were about 5, 6, 7 years old. So I was looking back at a previous memory rather than something that was happening now.
Is this painful to remember?
It's because it's so because it doesn't fit into the timeline of what I thought my life was. It's sort of very confusing. It doesn't make sense. Who allowed that to happen? Why was that okay? Where were my parents at the time? I remember, and this sort of ties in as well, when I was living in Lewes, which is in Sussex as well, I was very close friends with a little girl. Her name was Meredith Kennedy, and I was very close with her. Both of her parents were scientists, and often they used to take her and I to Sussex University lab. There was a lab there, and I remember getting in the car and being driven there, but then when we'd get driven there, the mother or the father would leave, and then we'd be left in the car, and then some strange things would happen in the car. I kept thinking the car was rolling, and then sort of went dizzy, came back again, but I have flashes of memories going inside of the lab.
Now recently I've looked into it more, and Sussex University is an arm. There is an arm of Tavistock that works right out of Sussex University. And my very close friend at the time, Meredith Kennedy, her mother also worked for Stanford Research Institute. So she used to go back and forth from Stanford to Sussex University. And Stanford then was actually continuing the work that Tavistock had done. Which was began by Freud and some other ones there, so that they could completely understand how to split the mind and basically program one personality into the left brain and one personality into the right brain, where each one, I mean, it's sort of similar to trauma-based mind control, where you create alters, but this was very specific, so they would play.
So they could do that without the trauma?
This particular one was being done without trauma. I mean, there was enough trauma that I was left there without knowing.
So it's not working. The trauma thing is a crude way of doing it.
The trauma, they're not really interested in they're interested in trying out all different types of methods. This particular one, which was done by a doctor called Robert Sperry, S-P-E-R-R-Y. And he was one of the Nazi scientists, and what he wanted to try and do was to see if he could play sounds, words, stories, music to one side of the brain, and then play completely separate one to the other side of the brain. So then it confuses the brain and splits it off. So then you can program one and program the other, which then creates massive confusion as the child gets older, because it's not sure whether it's coming or going, sort of thing. This also induces addiction, because then they created pharmaceuticals that were specifically made for people who'd gone through that trauma. A lot of the opiates that were created in the United States were made specifically because they knew that these kids were going to search that out and find it and become addicts to it.
And this is important because in the Channel 4 program Confessions of an Alien Abductee, they made a big issue of Chantel and the Kentucky Fried Chicken. So the placement of Kentucky Fried Chicken with the special mix in that, it's been described by others as an abduction food.
Really?
Yes. So the use of that could be a double trigger. So
KFC in itself is a basic anagram of fuck, right? If you just switch those around the other way. Well, also
is the old grandfather image on that a trigger as well?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And the grandfather image on there, if somebody from Asia looks at this man's face, it looks Asian to them. If a white person looks at it, it looks white to them.
Right.
It's very, very cleverly done like that. And the man who was behind KFC doesn't quite look like that, but he was also a master programmer, handler, slave handler. And when the trauma was done by him, you would be shown a face of this KFC, the actual thing. So you'd keep flash that face, so you'd keep being drawn to it.
Now, I have to say that me even mentioning that person's name will trigger her. I'll get a huge amount of abuse immediately for saying that.
Okay.
Because it triggers, and I think that means that the relevant people involved at Channel 4 were deliberately triggering. And it should be interesting to note that Marie Kayali, when she was waiting at the station to come down to do the 4 programs she was doing with me in Wiltshire, met the producer of that program. But anyway, that's a side issue.
Really? Okay.
Totally random issues.
Yes.
Improbable probability.
Yes. Now, towards the end of this thing that happened to me in March, I was spending time with two, a male and a female, who were older than me, 20 years older than me. And I don't want to mention their names because I don't want to cause them any trouble, but I do know that they were assets, and that I can mention the name of one of them. His name was James Chandler. And he was maybe in his mid to late 50s. He grew up on an Air Force base. He grew up from when he was
That's a familiar name. I've heard something like that somewhere
Now,
before.
Chandler, you take the C off, you have Handler. Now, when I was going through this massive trauma, in this onslaught of memories that came back in March, he said to me, look, come round, everything's going to be fine, come round here. And I was having an extreme, I didn't know where I was. I would wake up, go to my car in the morning, I'd look on the ground of my car, and I would see receipts that said that I'd bought something at 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was sound asleep in bed at that time. So, no, I found the receipts. So what had been happening
was there any dirt in your clothes or anything at all to indicate that you'd been outside physically?
I woke up with clothes on. So I had gone out and I had done something and bought something, and I had absolutely no clue. So anyway, I went round to these people's houses, and I sat down on the ground in the house, and this was these two people were there, and they said, "Max, why don't you have a lay down? Have a lay down. You know, you don't seem very well. You're bright red. Nothing's. You know, you seem like you need." So I lay down on the ground, put my head on a cushion. As soon as I put my head on the cushion, I felt like I sunk into the ground. I then became paralyzed. I couldn't move my legs or my arms. I couldn't open my eyes, but I could hear everything that was going on. Within about a couple of minutes after that, I could hear bells ringing, and I could hear these things, sort of incense smelling. And I heard a chain like this being, like there was something here, and it was like incense being spun around like this. I heard the changing of clothes, and I heard ringing, stuff like that. Now I heard them talking about that that they had been waiting to place whatever this ritual was going on. They had been waiting for it, and it had to be done in this house, and they were going to try and attempt to place, I don't know what you'd call it. It was some sort of entity that had been locked down for a very long period of time.
What do you mean by an entity locked down?
Okay. Well, when they started to do I was stripped naked, and when they started to do this ritual, there was some form of sex magic going on in the ritual, and then I felt something. I heard sounds, and I felt something being placed into my body.
Now, before we get there, but when you say what sort of creature, what's a long time? Any idea?
Well, I saw it in my mind's eye, and what I saw in my mind's eye was an enormous sort of a minotaur-looking being with two horns, muscular, red, green, and it had been shackled, had been chained by its ankles, chained here like this, and I could smell burning rock. I could smell it very, 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 very strongly, but I couldn't move. Okay, then I saw whatever was going on, then was projected and put in, layered slowly over the words that were being said. I heard chanting and words that were being said that was layered into, that somehow attached to my chakra energy points, because I was at a weak point. Generally, when you're at your weakest point is when they'll go for it and do it. Then I blacked out, nothing more. The next thing I know, I'm sitting on a couch. I'm sitting back on a couch, and I feel extremely powerful. I feel like I want to jump up and run a marathon. I felt so strong. Now the woman came in and she said to me, "Max, you haven't been doing too well. Why don't you take a drink of this?" I go, "What is it?" She said, "It's electrolytes, and it's this, and it's that," and it was bubbling, and it was in a cup like that. And I had a feeling inside of me that said, "Do not drink this, because if you drink it, it's going to reinforce whatever has been done, and you will be stuck." So I was sitting there with it for about 5 or 10 minutes, and she was saying, "Why haven't you drank it? Why haven't you drank it?" And I sipped it, and it tasted unusual. She came in again, and I spilt it all everywhere on the ground. She panicked like that, went left, went back, and made another one, and brought it in. And this time I did drink it. And after I drank it, I was sitting there for more. I felt like the feelings I had were like I could get up, I could lift up. I had extreme strength. Okay? So I was left there. Then the other guy, whose name is James.
Could you actually lift things up?
Yes. Yes,
Right.
I felt like
That's
my
important.
strength has increased by 5-10 times.
So you essentially seem to have been programmed with the strength of a minotaur. And the minotaur being half human, half bull?
Yes. Then they brought me some food, okay? They said, "Look, you've got to eat." When I tried to eat a sandwich, they brought me a Subway of all things. When I took a bite of the Subway tasted like burning metal. Every time I took a bite out of it, it tasted like burning metal. So I spat it out and put it on the ground. Now I asked myself in my head what's going on, and then something said to me you're tasting that because the thing that has been placed inside of you has been biting on these chains for thousands and thousands of years, and now you have taken on that inside of you, so everything is going to taste like that. But not to worry, it's only going to last 3 days and it'll be gone and you'll feel fine again. So this that went on 2 hours later. After that, something happened and my body went rigid, and whatever was inside of me was rejected and left. And then I felt it walked out. I mean, it left me, and
How did it do?
It's sort of like I felt whatever it was couldn't stick, or didn't stick, and sort of moved out like that. At that point, this guy James Chandler brought a picture of somebody who's related to me over and showed me this picture, and then they said, if it doesn't stick in you, it will certainly stick in him. And don't worry about that. It's failed for you. So then, as it's failed, then you need to be taken out. And so then I got this terrible fear that I'm
going to kill you.
Yes. And so this went on, and I went back into the other room and crashed out and fell asleep again. When I fell asleep again, there was two officers, what seemed like Nazi officers, standing either side of me. And
what uniforms did they have?
They had the old World War II uniforms, from what I can understand, the stereotypical Nazi World War II uniforms, and they were standing either side of me. And they had told me that what's going on right now is that there have been 100-year war battles for the last 1,000 years. And at the turn of every century, these wars are won or lost. And each time, and that he said that this particular faction had been winning for time after time after time after time. They said they set up all of the Formula One wins, all the World Cup wins were all set up to show how much in power they are.
Yeah.
Okay, and
it's interesting that a lot of horse racing things seem to have magical logos on them.
Yes.
In horse racing.
Yeah, and it's basically a ritual every time. But they showed me the seals over where they'd won. So they were gold seals, one on top of the other, on top of the other. And they said that the final battle is now happening now, and that they were already in a position to win. And they were thanking me. And I said, well, look, I don't know. I haven't done anything. I don't know anything about it. And they said, because you don't remember yet. Then I crashed out of sleep again. And I haven't ever talked about this, Miles. I crashed out of sleep again. Then there was a thing. It looked like a gargoyle, but it was as big as this room and had black wings, like bat wings. Picked me up like this, pulled me back away from the earth like that. So I saw the earth like this. There were rings around the earth, different colored rings around the earth. And this thing pointed out each one of these was thought prisons, were a thought prison. And he said, it doesn't matter which one of the people on this planet get caught up. It doesn't matter which thought prison they get caught up in, whether it's Scientology, whether it's Christianity, whether it's atheism, it doesn't make any difference. As long as you are magnetically drawn to one of them, we have you. And he explained how all the thought prisons were layered around the planet. And he explained how they were made, and
how were they made?
They were made with the will of the creator beings that want to keep this place together.
So that is the will of the Archon, or what? Is her name, or does it make any difference if there's a name?
And this particular group, I feel the ones who I was talking to were connected to the Alpha Draconis star system. And I do believe that the Aldebaran group and that the Alpha Draconis group are at war. And I believe that it's been an ongoing war for eons and eons and eons. And the Aldebaran group, which is the bullseye, which in the Taurus constellation, where you see the left red eye, that's why you have this symbol all the time. It's an acknowledgement to the Aldebaran people. It's called the Royal Star. All of the British royal family are directly connected to the Aldebaran group. When you're talking bad or good or evil, or it's a little difficult at that point, because I think it's perspective of the person. You know, what is bad or good when it comes to that. I think they feel what they're doing is good.
Well, since they're not actually human, it's from a human perspective.
Exactly. Yes. So they have been using the sun, which is Helios, which is the real name for the sun. The sun, Helios, is the entrance point to get into this 3D realm here. So they're using that as a vortex in-out point.
Now that's the significance of the 39 steps. But also Saturn, I think you'd mentioned earlier that Saturn was our original sun.
Well, Saturn was the original sun, yes. Yeah. And Saturn, yes. And Saturn got pushed out. It was, in truth, a more efficient sun and a better sun. But then they caught that sun and imprisoned it. The ring around the sun, the ring around Saturn, is an imprisonment. It's imprisoned. Saturn isn't bad. Saturn is another word for where they take Satan from, because it's the controlling force. It's Capricorn.
But is this related to the ring makers of Saturn?
Yes, and Lord of the Rings, and the principle is that. So the ring, one ring to rule them all, would be the ring that is around Saturn.
Which is, of course, was a key thing in 2001 and all.
Yes. So there were no planes that hit the building. They were holograms.
Why do you switch to that?
Because I was just thinking about 2001, and they were just testing Project Bluebeam out as far as they could. There wasn't even a missile. It was.
Well, what was Project Bluebeam? There's an awful lot of stuff about Project Bluebeam.
Project Bluebeam originally, they've been trying to do it for a while, because Michael Talbot wrote that fantastic book, The Holographic Universe, and it gives absolute proof that what this particular frequency we're living in is totally holographic, and you can build here through will. If you want to build something, you use your will. If you know what you're doing, you can manifest it that way. That's holographic. Now, what they've been doing for a while is going to Iraq, which is actually Sumer. There is information and ornaments and the spoken word, because when they say the spoken word, it just means a certain frequency, which is the frequency that holds this together. They were attacking to go to the museums to find that out. Yes, absolutely. And there are only a few people who know how to go there and translate actually what is going on. And obviously they call it Babylon or Sumer, and they say that's the cradle of civilization. It obviously isn't. It's the cradle of what we know as the known timeline we have now.
Which is the whole point of Andy Power's book, because the Irish, the people on these islands, were the ones who re-civilized after the Great Catastrophe,
right,
and met those who emerged from Giza.
Absolutely, I think it's important to bring up the tribe of Dan, because the tribe of Dan is the line that comes all the way through there from Atlantis. The sources from Atlantis coming through Sumer, Egypt, south of France, all the way up, and now Denmark. There's a huge amount in Denmark, but they're all in Ireland. Danny Boy is really about old Dan,
And in order to hold the Irish down, they've generated this conflict situation, which means they're too busy fighting each other rather than finding out what's going on.
Yes.
But there was this great awakening in the late 1970s, so we'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah. Just what's happening, and there's always, this is going in 3,600 year cycles, and that's just one, and then there's even an even bigger cycle than that. And right now, we're at a window opening point where you can, if you know what you're doing, get out of this cycle, this soul trapping cycle thing that we've got caught into.
Which is what you referred to in the opening remarks of when we met in Canterbury.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the key was symbolic. Yeah, the key was symbolic. I found out, since my grandmother died, there were a lot of secrets in my family, and I found out a lot of different things that I really needed.
And since our last discussion, we're actually in your grandmother's apartment, is that right?
Yes, we're here now. Yeah, yes. And I came across a few things that really helped me put into perspective what's gone on with me, and the Freemasonic connections and the Templar connections, and Rosalind Chapel, and Roswell, actually, it's actually connected. So
there's a Masonic connection with this alleged crash at Roswell.
Yes.
A ritual. There always is, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even what I really was looking at for the longest time is the Priory of Sion, and I think that if you can really break down what's going on with the Priory of Sion, you can have a very good idea about, okay, so the Holy Grail is not a literal object. The Spear of Destiny is not a literal object. These are symbolic of, the Spear of Destiny is symbolic of a phallus, and the Holy Grail is symbolic of a vagina. So,
what's the point of the symbolism there? Really, why this great symbolism?
Because those beings,
what's the big deal?
Those beings communicate in that way. They don't communicate in the linear way. Everything that they do is done through their language is symbol. They speak through symbols. Even as hieroglyphs, they're symbols. That's how they communicate. It's a much more efficient way of getting across information than using the Western alphabet, which is crap.
Well, we'll leave it at that for the second, and we'll get into the second half.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basis 37, July 13th, take 2, take 1. A lot of people that's been interviewed in the past. Do you want to talk about any of them briefly?
You mean the people that you've interviewed before, but in the earlier bases?
Yeah.
Sure. I'd like to address anything that's come up for me.
In other words, I'm going to leave you to mention any names. If you want to do this, it's entirely up to you.
Okay, yeah, that points me in a negative light. Okay, so we can go back to really the beginning of 2010. Now, I'd spoken to Michael. I'd spoken to James Casbolt before then. I'd spoken to him really. Him and I were corresponding in 2008.
When did you first meet? Were you part of the same program?
Right. I knew James Casbolt from when we were very, very young. My first real flash memories of him were around when I was 5 or 6 years old in Brighton. And I think I've talked about the thing that happened there. But him and I remember him playing video games with him then at a specific swimming pool in Brighton Hove, actually. So yeah, I mean, there's bits and pieces of memories there, but as an adult...
Before we get that far,
yes.
Are there any other children involved in this collection of children that you were part of?
Yeah, yes, there were. None that I can say, oh, this person, this person, no. There were, majority of them were English, but there were a couple of American girls there too.
How many?
How many? Two that stand out to me.
2 American girls?
Yeah. One I know, one nobody else, none of the audience will know.
But they're still alive?
Yeah, yes.
Was you mentioned that a lot of them had died since then?
Well, in this is a separate group than the Brighton one, but in a separate one. I think what happened is when we were being used for, they were testing out how far they could push the trauma. Because when certain sex rituals are done to a child under 5 years old, when a child is raped, and when a male child is raped, what happens is it releases the coiled serpent, or the kundalini, which is at the base of the spine, and it is opened up before it should be. Everybody has the kundalini raised at some point. Maybe not everybody, but right. So it means coiled serpent, and it sits at the base of the spine. And when the serpent uncoils, it goes up the spinal column like this, and comes to the brain stem there, and you come to an enlightened understanding. So you become an enlightened one, or the Illuminati, the illuminated one. When a male child is raped before the age of 5, it goes through something called the vasovagal shock. Now, when it's penetrated, the coiled snake uncoils very, very quickly, all the way up the spine to the top of the spine and explodes here in the brainstem, which then shatters the consciousness into many, many pieces, like smashing a mirror. Then,
so all this ritual all this kind of abuse that's been happening with many politicians, allegedly, a lot of stuff coming forward now about British political parties, British media, British thing and all that. There's a huge amount of stuff coming out now. Is that all part of that?
you cannot be in a high-level person in the Illuminati unless you have been illuminated by the Key of Solomon. Now they call this rape, they call rape like that to a young boy the Key of Solomon. And when that happens, when it bursts up here, it shatters, then you are able to program these different altars. But not only that, when it shatters there, you have a photographic memory. Somehow it raises the IQ. It does a number of different things. Everybody who is in a position of power now has had the Key of Solomon used on them, so they have been raped in that way.
Which means that the whole structure of power in Britain,
yes,
the UK, probably Ireland, because of the recent terrible things about 900 children, 800 children ritually massacred in Ireland, that means the whole power elite has been...
Yes. Yes, and they won't have you in the power elite unless it's been done to you. Just off sidetrack, Barack Obama, his middle name is Hussein. Well, Saddam Hussein was a major handler and programmer. He was such a high programmer that he would program some of our very high power position people through world leaders. And Saddam Hussein programmed Barack Obama with that way. That's why he has...
Do you know any others he programmed?
No, but I know that him and Hillary Clinton worked as a duo to do that. No, I don't. I just...
I mean, Hillary Clinton...
Bill Clinton was programmed by Saddam Hussein too. All the Rhodes Scholars, all of the Rhodes Scholars have to be illuminated, have to have that done to them.
Why an Arab like Saddam Hussein?
Well, he had technology. He had hold of technology. He had hold of Stargate technology. That's one of the reasons why he was at one point he was one of the most powerful men on the planet. And the technology that he had was off the charts.
Now, this is very similar to what John Irwin has said in his book, One Step Beyond the 16.
Yes, yeah.
Amongst other things.
Yes, he had that. It's sort of similar to there's a movie called Contact, and that spinning thing there, which is able to shoot you through to different dimensions. So he had something similar to that. There's a few of them around, but he had control of that. He comes from, he's a direct descendant of Genghis Khan, and that bloodline, the Genghis Khan bloodline, who incidentally had the most powerful, he owned the most land of anybody on this planet ever. Even more, I mean, the British Empire was secondary even to Genghis Khan's empire. And whatever...
Now, something that's been maintained on horseback, that seems to be a pretty big deal.
Right, because in truth they weren't just using horseback. I mean,
what were they using?
They were using interdimensional technology. Yeah. And Genghis Khan bred with multiple women, so he could continue that bloodline. Which
is that what Casbolt's doing, by doing all this contact with women, by having some kind of psychic link? There's been discussion that it's some kind of thought virus he's instilling in these people.
Yeah.
Whatever's controlling him.
Well, I think that when the wars on Mars went on, there was a 100,000-year war, and a lot of us were involved in this 100,000-year war. And while this was going on...
Between who?
Between who? Okay, well, so the basis of it was between the Lyrans, or the Nordics, and the Dracos, because the Dracos are chasing the Nordics around because they want their DNA, because that allows them to maintain the holographic projection of a human being whilst they're here. So the 100,000, this was a long war. Eventually, at the end of it, what happened was that they had to call a ceasefire because so many were killed on either side. But there was a disease that got out, a virus that got out during this war, and a lot of us who were very involved in what was going on, generals, commanders who were up there, contracted this virus.
I mean, it seems as it must have been created.
It was created virus, yeah, and a lot of us contracted this virus, and what this virus was, some of us took it on board, took it and merged it, superimposed it into our own physical body to try and overcome it. And then now a lot of us still have it. I have it in me still now.
What does it do? What is it?
Well, it's vampirical. It's sort of like I mean, it's like a stereotypical vampire.
So what does that mean? You shapeshift and your teeth go long and you bite people at night?
It means that, well, yeah, but only somebody who was able to see or sensitive to that would be able to see it. It's not as if I would change now and into a monster like that. So if you're sensitive, you can see it.
What is the true shape then?
Of this particular one? Well, from this particular vampirical virus, they tend to look, this vampire sort of thing looks a bit like that old stereotypical vision of Nosferatu. Very, very pale skin, bald head, sort of dark eyes and sharp teeth, like that.
From the original movie?
Yes, like that. Looks sort of like
original
that.
silent movies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it has the ability. It doesn't have a core here. It doesn't have a central core where it maintains itself. It sort of has an opening here, like a void. So it doesn't maintain its own thing. So it doesn't maintain its own energy force. It has to take from others to maintain its holographic projection. And a number of us were infected by this particular virus that happened there.
Now why is that going to be a thing that would cause harm to people? What's the point?
Well, because it becomes like a parasite, and then it starts to spread, and more and more and more. So it's like a parasitic virus that's on the face of this planet.
So how does it spread? By contact, blood?
Yeah, well, when you start, I mean, when you drain somebody else, you sort of, there's never really a drain. When it comes to vampires, they don't just take. There is a exchange. So they will take energy field or blood from another, but then they will exchange it with their own energy. So that's why a lot of the times victims of a vampire will start falling in love with the vampire,
yeah,
quote unquote vampire, because they will feel the feelings that the vampire feels.
Yeah.
And so they'll.
I mean, I have to say that seems very similar to two people that I know, two women I know. So
that it becomes like a bond like you can't even ever explain, an obsessive bond. And then what I think is they're very careful about is, but if you completely drain them, then their personality is wiped, and then they become one of them. So then the void is within them, and then they have to continue to take from others to maintain. So it's a virus. I mean, literally like a virus. For me, what I have come to the conclusion now, what happened with me is I absorbed whatever that energy was, whatever that consciousness was, into myself. And that's why when I was born here, or on paper when I was born here, I had that line go down the center of me, which was red and yellow. So the left side of me is a higher vibrational Syrian being, a blue Syrian being, and the other side of me is whatever this virus is that I've taken. And it's been a constant internal war to try and which one wants to take over the sides, each side of it. So if the Nosferatu type thing takes over, then I become a complete, whatever that does, which is continues with the virus.
Does it happen on full moons and you've got to...
Oh, well, I have extremely weird things happen to me on full moons, yeah. Actually, it happened yesterday.
I mean, I'm being a bit silly, just...
No, why wouldn't it? Because when it's a full moon, that's when the energy... I mean, it's a construct. The moon is a construct in and of itself. It's like the Death Star is a construct anyway.
So but when you're talking about the moon being a complete artificial construct?
Yeah, and it definitely is. It's hollow and it's an artificial construct, yeah.
Any other information you know about it?
Well, they're using the moon as a transfer point to harvest.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting. John Lear says something like that.
when you die, when you're dying here, when you quote unquote die, you are going to a transfer point. And then there's actually a machine. There's actually a giant machine up there, which then they do a lot of rituals up there as well, which then
Who's
wipes.
they?
Who is it? Well, the majority of the moon is now run by the Fourth Reich, but there are. Oh, I mean,
So are you saying that spoof movie?
is actually quite right on, yeah. Yeah. They always like to tell you the truth with a spin of bullshit
Yeah.
in the middle, but and then you're sent right
So
back here.
it's got enough of an atmosphere for people to walk around with very minimal.
Yeah. Yes. And then huge underground stations and high technology and so what you've got the Saturn as we have now with the ring around it projecting out a false reality pockets. False reality. It hits the moon, and the moon is working like an amplifier, which then creates and projects the false reality onto this planet.
Right.
So we're living an inverted reality here. It's not how it doesn't.
What do you
work.
mean by an inverted reality?
Well, an inverted reality in the sense that you succeed by doing bad. You succeed by fucking over. Excuse my language. You succeed by screwing over your fellow man. If you're if that's if you want to go along with that. I don't care if you succeed. I'd rather not succeed and be okay and take care of people I love. So whether or not success is not. I'm not interested in that. What I'm trying to do is change the frequency here, so that ceases to exist anymore.
You're talking about the moon.
The moon being an
the moon's-
amplifier, yes. The moon being an amplifier. And, yes.
Well, it's interesting that they've announced, NASA's announced a contract to go to Mars with Boeing.
yeah.
They're using a very similar rocket to the Saturn V. So that seems like a load of hooey for a start.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They,
Only 2 solid rocket boosters. I'm being an anorak now, but if you're going to launch the kind of weight that you expect to lift, to go to Mars, you'd expect rather more than just a big tin can tank and 2 solid rocket boosters, because that essentially is all the shuttle had.
yeah. Then they've got the jump rooms in on Sepulveda Boulevard, which is in Los Angeles too, which is right. I lived on Sepulveda Boulevard at the ages of 5, 6, and 7, and I didn't go to school at that period of time. My parents didn't put me in school, and I spent a lot of time by myself. And there are jump rooms at 999 Sepulveda Boulevard, which was maybe 2 blocks away from where I used to live. And
The nines are significant.
well, it's just, I mean, as I said, everything is reversal. So, I mean, you have 666, but what really is 666? It's not quite what.
It's the interdimensional gate.
Right, and it's also talking about raw human being. I mean, the carbon atoms, 6 carbon atoms, 6 oxygen atoms, 6, I think.
Oh, right. I didn't
Right.
explain that. Like.
It's well, the 666 is also it's also explaining to you time. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. So you have 666 there. It's old father time. And what creates time here? Saturn. Saturn is manifesting the false reality of time here. So the big illusion is time.
We have such big people in the past, the land of the giants, huge
Yes.
humans.
I'm not sure that they're gone. I just think the holographic projection is not suited for them for us to see them what they really look like. I think they're still here. There's an island where they have all the dinosaurs there already. They're still there.
You're talking about the movies now.
But that's a real place. They have that.
Where is that?
Well, it's an island off the South Pacific, from what I mean. George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is SS. George Lucas is a CIA insider.
Are
And
you saying that the good Jew like George Lucas is he Jew?
George Lucas isn't. No.
Oh, sorry, I talked up Spielberg. Sorry.
And I'm not saying anything bad about these guys.
But all these things are relative, and really,
Absolutely.
the good bad thing is really academic, and really, if you apply those sort of terms, you're going to miss the point. In a lot of places.
Absolutely. Yeah. But with the dinosaurs on it, well, they're still doing experiments and testing them out. They're testing out what the abilities are. and if they can take certain parts of DNA from these dinosaurs and place them into human beings, what extra
Just
attributes?
continuing with the stuff that Barry King's father discovered in World War II.
Which was?
A lab with strange-looking humans being used for some kind of transgenetics or some kind of...
Right, well, you've got under Dulce, you've got the 7 levels under Dulce, where Nightmare Hall, which I think is the 6th level, where they've just put everything you could possibly imagine together. You know, testing out things. That's not ever going to happen again. This will never ever happen again.
Why?
Trapping souls, because universal law now is not allowing it. It's gone too far.
I get the impression from other sources that what's been going on is so illegal.
It's so illegal. It's being stopped. A lot of these ones out in Arizona and Nevada now have been stopped, and because you've got people souls trapped in machines, where they cannot stop, keep coming back and back again for torturous lifetime after torturous lifetime. And this has been, you know, over and over again. And, you know, and you talk about, well, okay, well then, you know, you want to leave? How are you going to leave here? Kill yourself? You kill yourself, you're not leaving. You're in even more trouble. So we're all now trying to find out how we get out of this prison without walls. What do? We look inside and understand we have to look inside ourselves and understand what's going on. Because really, all of this stuff is just a reflection of what we think about ourselves.
So the 9/11 thing is a mechanism for controlling that.
That was a huge Stargate ritual, and between those two buildings, when that happened, it opened an enormous. It was a Crowley ritual, and it was connected to the Boleskine house other doorway that he didn't bother to close. But the
one in Loch Ness.
Yeah, he didn't close it. He couldn't close it.
Or did he not close it, or couldn't close it?
He couldn't close it. It was too much for him. He couldn't. Dialed in all these lower fourth dimensional beings that are here now.
And I didn't want to take part in any of that, so I stood well back.
Because these things are. We're talking about the Goetia demons, the high Goetia demons that were locked away for a long time.
And why are they called a high Goetia demon?
Well, you know, in the 72 Goetia demons are ranked sort of similar to our aristocracy here. They have dukes and princes and kings and like that. And Crowley wanted to release them here, and the 9/11 ritual released a lot of them like that, because they want to create hell on earth. They want to create, well, hell is not the word they use, but they want to create the lower fourth into 3D here. Yeah. Because they like that. That's what they like. They like that. They're slowly introducing, so making it more acceptable that pedophilia is okay, more acceptable that heinous crimes are okay.
Yeah, I think this is important, that a lot of real bad guys are given the sympathy thing on TV. And we don't want to push that analogy too far in the present circumstance.
Right, yeah, there's a few names I could say, but I'm not going to say any names because, you know, we don't want to do that.
So there's a lot of basically demonology. What does it really mean? These are other types of dimensional entities?
Yeah.
They've got their own worlds to live in?
They don't. They're just off this frequency. They're in pockets, they're in a pocket just off this frequency. But they were locked down a long time ago because they caused such havoc and mayhem. The Dark Sorcerers... Is
this what you referred to earlier as going to oblivion, that you can recover?
The Void, you mean? Yeah, they were locked in the Void. In Superman 2, the original one, not the crap remake, you see Jor-El locked in these 3 particular demons in this thing like this, and they were locked away. Well, that's symbolic of a lot of these Goetia demons being locked down. Now, when you use Goetia magic, each one represents a different thing, maybe for money, maybe for food, maybe for power. So if you know what you're doing, it's necromancy. If you know how to, necromancy is about the summoning and raising of these particular things. You can summon them.
Jimmy Savile's stuff?
Yes. He was actually very, very high up.
Well, he obviously must be because of the clearance he obviously got.
Yeah, very high clearance.
Which is a big alarm bell for the whole echelons again. You know.
Absolutely. But you can summon these, and if you do what you're supposed to do, if you do what they say, and you know, they'll do you favors. And
that's at a cost.
Oh yeah, in the end it's at a cost. Yeah, you're selling your soul.
And
They'll have you after.
Yeah, and that means short-term gain, long-term loss.
You can even have what seems like long-term. You can have a lifetime gain. But
yeah, but after that,
you're always going to lose somebody close to you, because they always want somebody. They always want to take something from you that's close to your heart.
What happens to those people who are taken?
Well, they're dealing with going to the underworld, or whatever you want to call that, lower fourth, until they can capture enough energy to re-get into a new body again. They're about staying here. They don't want to go anywhere else or raise vibration. They want to stay here. So they're fighting to get back into a body again and do the same thing again.
Which is why we got all this thing, cyborgs, you know, be able to have machines which last.
Yeah.
You know, well past the human lifestyle.
Yeah. But there's a way of doing it where you can rebuild the flesh and blood again as well. You don't even have to have cyborgs. You can do it with, especially with the cold-blooded, like the reptilian cold-blooded. It's much easier to build the building blocks of them than it is the mammals.
Well, that's interesting. That one of the things that the Casbolt mentioned was the certain people in charge of certain agencies had lived a long, long time.
Yeah. Yes.
So, you know, like 100 years plus.
Yes.
Probably more.
Way more. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's a lot to do with it's the blood. It's being able to. You can just change your blood again, or you can take somebody else's blood and maintain youth, keep maintaining youth. But what they're desperately after is the Holy Grail, which is which is the Priory of Sion protected for the longest time. You can get hold of that. That's eternal life. But the Holy Grail is really blood. It's blood from a certain stream.
I mean, the Ark of the Covenant.
That's a different thing, yes.
Gold holds the souls.
Yes, and gold is soul energy, yes.
Gold is soul energy?
Yes. The more gold you have, the more soul energy you've got.
Right.
That's why they're obsessed with it.
It's very interesting. Somebody I know recently had a lot of really yellow gold, really good pure gold.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
very powerful stuff.
Yeah. Okay, you haven't really mentioned. Okay, we've mentioned. Is there anybody else you want to mention?
Yeah. I think it's important that I bring up Anya Briggs, because there's been a lot that she's said over the last few years, and she's on the surface she's a reasonably nice girl. I don't know her. I don't really know her at all. My initial connection with her was that in 2010, James Casbolt wrote a list. I think it was a list of about 10 people on it, and on the list what he wrote were a list of people that were involved in MK projects, this project, that project. So, it's kind of like, okay, well...
Are any of these lists got any credence at all?
Okay, so I looked at the list, and first of all, I was like, okay, well, thank God, finally, there's somebody else here that perhaps I can relate to. So this is a good thing, because I felt isolated and alone at the time. So I looked through the list, nothing, I didn't contact anyone at first. Then the next day, I had a message from Anya Briggs, and she wrote underneath a picture of mine, and she said, "Wow, you look so familiar. It's wonderful to be in contact with you. I feel like I've been biblical with you." And
what does that mean?
Actually, at the time, I didn't know what that meant. But after asking, if it means I feel like I've slept with you or I had sex with you. So I wrote back to Anya, and I said, "Oh, wow, I don't remember you," because I didn't remember her at all. But I said, "What do you remember about me?" And she corresponded with me a lot, and she sent me all these things about her remembering me in the Civil War, I think, and she sent me pictures.
What's the American Civil War?
Yes. Yeah.
There seems to be an awful lot of that going around.
She said and when she was telling me, I sort of felt, like that seemed familiar. So we wrote back and forth for a while, and
why would an Englishman be involved with the Civil War?
Because it has nothing to do with you know, what country you're from, does it? Really, you continue on and on. Has nothing to do with that. So we corresponded back and forth, and I was just very happy to have someone to talk to who sort of was in a similar position to me. I'm a survivor from these projects, and so is she. You don't tell somebody not to talk to someone. I have an opinion. I have a voice that needs to be heard. I would never say don't talk to Anya or anybody else. Everybody needs to be heard. She is acting, you know, like a woman scorned, and I don't have a problem with her. I don't have a problem with her. I have a problem with her slanderously speaking about me. But in general, she's a human being. She's suffered, and you know, we're all trying to come together to try and work this stuff out.
Finally, just this little bit of other people or anybody else
I
that you want to talk about. No pressure, just
Sarah,
totally.
Sarah, you know, I spoke to Sarah Steiner a few times. A lot of her stories paralleled mine, and
Again, she's English and she's been in these programs. She mentions James Casbolt and lots of stuff and lots of different things.
I sort of remember her. Sarah Steiner is a lot more familiar to me.
I mean, she claims that James was actually one of the people who was I can't quite get the term, but responsible for. I can't really get the term, but James is involved. Anyway.
Yeah. And I sort of remember Sarah too, and we'd spoken before, and she said it feels like I'm sort of like her and I are brother and sister.
So she wasn't one of the people in your original.
Now, I don't know that for sure, but that is possible. I don't know that for sure. I don't remember Anya from any of this stuff. I don't ever remember her. Yeah, outside of that.
We're not talking adults in their 30s now.
What's that? Yeah.
I mean, this is, you know.
Yeah, I think Anya's always, you know, mid-40s or something, but
Yeah.
Sarah Stanger's...
I mean, the basis thing, I've been doing this for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So these programs have been going on a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
There are phases of it, yes, absolutely. There was one particular one that cornered the group of children that were born in the 50s and 60s, and then the mid-70s seems to be when they sort of changed it a little bit. Mannequin came out in 1972,
the forerunner to Mannequin was Puppet Master.
Yes, Puppet Master, yes.
You're corroborating something that Barry King said 20 years ago.
Okay.
Basis 31, basis 37, take 1, take
31,
1.
interesting you said 31.
I'm going to show some footage that is not really been seen very much. It's an interview that Miles Johnston did of Max Spears. And it's like one of the first interviews. They had already the event in Henderson, Nevada, the big Super Soldier Summit where all the super soldiers, like the big boom happened, where that infamous interview.
Hi there, welcome back to my full disclosure channel. Hi there, welcome back to my full disclosure channel. I am so delighted to have an absolutely massive monster of a broadcast journalist, a BBC and Sky news reporter, a pirate radio creator, a phenomena, and an all in all really good Irishman. Welcome for the first time to my channel, Miles Johnston. How are you, love?
Hello, Danny. And another great star of mine is the Basis Mug of the Year with Sandy Adams. Yeah, you can just about see her there.
Yeah.
Sandy decided to bugger off to, can we say that, to Brazil, and she came up with a great cartoon. And I like to promote ladies in broadcasting and stuff like that. We're doing a show with Maria Wheatley. Now, anyway, the point about it is that I had an argument with my physics professor when I was at school, and I went to a posh school, okay?
Uh-huh.
And he dismissed any ideas of UFOs rather too much. And I thought, well, excuse me, but I think... So I started a UFO group at school. I got into the papers in Belfast, big broadsheets, you know? The writing was on the wall. To get broadsheets in fifth form in your local newspapers, that's the two big sheets in the middle of a paper, which is this size. And that was all about UFOs. And it's sort of gone on from there.
Did you see the UFOs, or was that your first kind of interest in?
I did see UFOs. I even had a book, my first book on astronomy. Patrick Moore opened the Armagh Observatory on my 10th birthday.
Oh.
It's a bit like when I went to Swansea yesterday or on Wednesday. I arrived at Swansea, and as soon as I came into Swansea, there was the whole city exploded with fireworks on my arrival.
It was all there waiting for you, Miles.
They were either waiting for me, or it was merely a coincidence that I arrived when it was the 5th of November. However, conspiracy theories would deny that was true.
Yeah, well, you know, those conspiracy theories would have me believe that you are CIA and FBI, and that our two cinemas are CIA, FBI, compromised. So, to tell me that another human is infiltrated, I am ignoring you, and I am now suspicious of you. And I want that to be known in public, because, Miles, I have been kept away from you, from loads of other people, and I'm bringing them all on my channel now, because I have been prevented and others have been prevented of coming together. All right, now talking about coming together, let's promote your conference. I support other conferences, of course. Tell us who's speaking and when it is and what it's about, please.
Okay, all jokes aside, just because somebody would say that they were trying to lock you up. Although we just had a very nice conversation with Beverly. That's why not we start with Beverly Rhodes. Yep. I've just interviewed her. We've done 2 sessions. Very heavy. Her sat-nav was interfered with.
Bro, what the fuck are they, like, get to the fucking topics. What are they doing? They're just, like, up their own ass with their fucking, bro. Whatever. This is, like, for fucking 55-year-olds. I can't. These people are just...
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its...
I don't care. Max Beer, Super Soldier, exposes the truth. All right. What's this? Is this...
What's been going... Right. Okay.
All right. I'm going to go with this one. Fucking hell.
Okay, so I want to bring that out. Okay.
Especially the involvement of...
Well, what's been coming up for me at the moment is really like looking at like the I don't know, the bloodline stuff is really important, and these, like the Committee of 300 family, which is below the 13 families, is really important, and that, and you know, the connection of that, and I don't know. Are you ready? Yes.
Drawing things tightly together. Who are the players? What are they doing? And what's the new player in the game?
Okay, yeah. Well, as far as the new player, I think that's something that you and I have talked about. I don't know who the new player is. I'm trying to piece together all the old stuff, and that's taken a lot of my energy up. But so as I was talking to you earlier on about the 13 families and the Committee of 300 underneath them, which is 300 sort of
the Committee of 300 is known to the public. That in a book by Dr. John Coleman,
yes,
ex-MI6 agent, about 23 years ago, early 2000, 1990s.
Yeah, these families show up at the Bilderberg Group and Council on Foreign Relations. They show up there, and but a lot of the descendants of these families, the 300 families, are also hidden in under, say, John Smith or Jim Jones or whatever, hidden between in regular families, but extremely significant. Not inner circle members, but second or third tier outside of that, and they're generally the scene. Okay, so you have the outer rulers and the inner rulers. The inner rulers are never. They don't need to put themselves in positions where they're seen, or they don't need to be in movies or entertainment or sports figures or presidents, because they rule with an absolute rule behind the scenes. So the Committee of 300, generally the outer heads, so they're the ones we do see on TV and in.
Are those what Irwin or people would call the second degree?
Right. Second degree in respect to what?
In respect to expendable operatives.
So, well, yes, I suppose they are expendable. Yeah, absolutely. There's still what the general public would perceive as the top of the line, though. The top, like the top players we perceive.
Yeah, that's because we see them.
Right, and the absolute rulers are unseen. And that's always the way it's been in anything. You have the outer, inner head, like I said. So, I've just been in researching more so, rather than the 13 families that are always talked about, the Committee of 300 families, and a lot of in Scotland you have the clans, like Clan Lindsay and Clan MacGregor, or the MacGregor clan, and a lot of which are the Templars, really. A lot of those families are the Committee of 300 families, and so I think the MacGregor clan is an offshoot of a Rothschild family, but they're seen as slightly less significant or slightly less powerful. And really, in truth, it's a DNA thing. It's to do with how pure or how controllable their specific. The more controllable you are, the higher position you're going to have. So if you have a certain stream that they feel is malleable or controllable, they'll put you in a position that's high. The more that you are seen to be sociopathic and a sellout to humanity for gain or fame or money, then they will place you in a higher and higher position. That's not to say that everybody who's in those positions is a complete sellout. I don't think that they are, but I think generally the rule is that you are, if you're willing to sell out your brother, or you're willing to sell out your fellow man, they will put you. If you're showing you'll do that, they'll put you in a higher spot. See what I'm saying? So
in many respects, you're talking about how easy you're sold. You can sell your soul.
Right, and then you'd have to define what soul really meant. I've always had kind of an issue with that.
What bargain you make.
What's your soul? Yeah. I mean, what are you?
How much does it take to buy you? Are you cheap or expensive?
Right, and then I think I had this conversation with Michael Hemmingson actually a while ago, and how your television, mainstream media, is pushing more and more for people to empathize with the sociopath in television and movies, and they'll create a movie or a TV show where Dexter is in it like a prime example where you'll have, and he's a serial killer, but somehow the writing will be done where you'll empathize and you think, oh, it's not so bad, you know, it's fine, and I like this guy, and so you'll end up having a connection with him, although he is torturing and killing people. So that's kind of altering the mainstream collective mind in a more leaning it towards a more cutthroat, sell-out sort of mode. And I think
these are the details
yes.
of that particular. Who was that individual you described?
I was actually referring to a television show, a TV show. Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of got off. So I was just kind of heading that.
They were dealing with a committee of.
Yeah.
300.
So, okay.
And who's expendable? Who you can buy?
Yeah, and not everybody can be bought with cash. You know, there's power or position or perhaps to save somebody else. What would you do to save somebody you love? That's why often people people in positions of power will have. Anybody who has a position of power, they will have on you some form of blackmail, some kind of thing that if you don't continue to do as you're told, then you'll be exposed as this or that or the other. So they'll make sure that whoever is put into positions of power has some sort of fetish for something or another that is deemed obscene to the general public. So they'll have that buried somewhere, so if you mess up, it can be shown, and that can be always held on you. So you are forced then to continue. There was a scientist not that long ago who was working on vaccines, and he was an incredible genius. But they had him, and he was working for one of the alphabet agencies, and they had him on. They'd abducted him one day, and they had made his body so that it was had to have this green liquid constantly going through his veins, and if the green liquid was taken away, I don't know what the chemical was, if the green liquid was taken away, then he would, over a 24-hour period, he would die, and a horrible death. So he had this bag, this liquid connected into him all the time, and if he didn't continue the work, then he would that would happen, and that's just another form of blackmail or form of where you're forced to do that.
If they can't blackmail you, they'll get you dependent on something.
Yes, dependency, right, absolutely. And whether it's drugs or whether it's another chemical or whether it's the threat of harm to somebody you love.
It implies that essentially, in order for these people to function, these creatures or whatever we're dealing with, the people who do the work for them aren't doing it really voluntarily.
I think not all, and I would say actually at this point it's 50-50, and I think there are definitely a large quantity of beings, in the guise of human beings, but people who are doing this work because they like it, because they like the feeling of subjugating and being cruel to another being, because that's how they get off. But then there is another part, majority of people who are forced into doing, and they have to do it because if they don't, there's going to be harm done to. Usually, it's not themselves; it's somebody they love. Because if you attack somebody they love, it's actually more painful. Somebody who has a heart.
But that means that they risk vengeance from those people.
Absolutely.
They have to therefore keep them in hand. It's dangerous for them to do that. It's not profitable in the long run.
In terms of the people that
if they kill somebody that somebody loves, that person will harbour hatred towards them.
Right. Okay.
Do they use the hate?
Well, I think that in terms of that, they're sort of harvesting that energy, and like the hate, fear, cruelty, energy is very useful to them. So I don't think that they particularly care. The more you get angry or feel violent or want to attack in the same way that they are, you're always going to lose, because if you work on, this is their playing, and I don't mean to use that.
I experienced that to a great deal at Sky Television.
Okay.
When they were generating specifically a massive hate, they wanted people to hate them.
I used to
Right.
go around the company and people were discussing how wanted to go and machine gun people in the office.
So if the Sky building itself, if that was built on an energy grid point, and you could piss off everybody in that place, and everyone was angry and was lashing at everybody else, you could that's the best energy source.
Yes, we're definitely doing that.
And reverse it back into it, and then use it again. So you take that, push it back down. So you've got a cycle going like that, and everybody wants to have some form of income, And if it's a half decent income, and no one's going to leave, probably not. But they're essentially raping you energetically and paying you nothing for it.
Yeah, that was very evident. So, who are these creatures? And
okay,
the bottom line is, let's discuss the problem that we're all extraterrestrials.
Well, yeah.
Who brought us here?
Yeah.
And who are the people who have taken control? The creatures that have taken control.
Well, okay. So I think. This is how I feel from extensively researching it, and perhaps others don't agree with me on it. It is one faction of the reptilian species that is doing this. The ones that are in control here and now, I believe, is the Anunnaki, which I think they were the Anunnaki reptilian species were. On Sirius B originally, and are not in full control though. And I think you've got the Orion group, handed over control for a window of time to the Anunnaki, and I think it's false information that the Anunnaki are at the top of the pyramid, quote unquote, and that this Orion group are way above them.
We're a very dense planet, and the matter that's here is very dense.
Yeah, the frequency we're on is very dense. Yeah, the planet itself isn't. It's just we're attached to the frequency that's very dense here. There are high vibrations versions of this planet. We're just not tuned to them right now.
Right. That's important.
Yeah.
But we are not native to this place.
No. I think that we have multiple strains of DNA running through there's nobody that's walking here that is native to this place. Certainly very, very, very few.
Are the Sasquatch native to here?
I think more. How about more native? I don't think that they. If that's.
They've just been here longer.
Yeah. Yes, definitely amazing.
So who brought us
here? Like the American Indian sort of stream of energy sort of thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Who brought us here? And are they coming back? Or did they leave?
Right. I think that there was a human experiment, and I think we're involved in the human experiment. And the human experiment has been hijacked by a number of different streams of consciousness, species, whatever you want to call them. And I think that we have not been allowed to evolve naturally as an awakening consciousness here, and we've been usurped by another species that has taken over and manipulated and used us as slaves. But I think the human line as we know it now, the human form as we know it now, was created to be a sort of a working slave species, and on another prison planet. And this definitely, for sure, is a prison planet now. There's nobody here that is experiencing the real version of who they are.
We talked in Canterbury.
Yeah.
And you had a key.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about, I've got the key, I can get out of here.
Well,
what do you mean by all that?
Okay, so that's, I think for me personally, I've been stuck in cycles here, cycle after cycle, and I think that it's something to do with my particular family line, and something to do with some soul deals that went on, and but I don't have clear memory of them, because each time you come back into the body, you get lured to walk into the light, and I think that's a false light, and I think it's like the quote unquote Luciferian false light, and then you get wiped. Your memory gets completely wiped. So I'm not exactly sure what the soul deal is. I'm just speaking from an instinct here that I made some sort of soul deal, and I've been coming back in cycles, and addressing that and looking at that and doing work in terms of regression, not looking at past lives, because a lot of the past life stuff is ego stuff, but looking at it and understanding it and trying to break the deal so that future generations, my children and children's children, don't have to go, because it's the same, really. We're the sort of like a centipede. All my family lying down and all the ones to come are sort of the same sort of connected consciousness. Whatever happened to my grandfather or his father, I carry those memories in my DNA. I don't want to have to keep doing the same cycles again. So I'm addressing that, and by doing that, it's sort of like a symbolic key. So the key that you were talking about is, for me, and it's kind of covering this kind of heart center, for me, is a key it's a form of a key so that I can break the cycle, sort of thing.
So what does this? Is it like a Mobius loop, like an infinity?
Yeah.
Run as we go through the procession of the equinoxes.
Or the sun coming up and going down, or the 28-day moon cycle. Same thing. It's all that they're only there. I mean, the sun coming up and going down is only there to reinforce that you are in a dualistic. Why does it have to be light and then dark? It doesn't really. Isn't that just forcing me into the belief of duality and polarity? Why do I have to look at a watch? Why do I keep looking at the time and looking at my watch? Okay, it's this. Doing that reminds me to do that. It's reinforcing that that's real, and it's around a circle. So the hand's going around a circle, so it's reinforcing again that I'm locked into a time loop. Even the pentagram symbol, really, outside of it being earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, outside of that, it's the five senses locked in a prison, imprisonment of the five senses, obsession with five sense flesh experience. And I think that you can get addicted to sensation, any polarities. You can get addicted to lifetimes. And I think that somewhere along some of these cycles, I got addicted to pain and pleasure, some way or another. And then once you do that, you keep coming back in cycles like that.
This is a creation of 3D reality.
Yeah.
You need to stress the time-space continuum with pain and pleasure. You mentioned that, otherwise it would collapse.
Yes. So they have to keep reinforcing that in everything. I mean, it's really hard because there's so much MK, there's so much mind control, and everywhere you look. I mean, you don't. If you turn the radio on, you're going to be bombarded by frequencies that everything kind of screams, stay, or everything, stay here, stay here, stay
MK
here.
Ultra
So like that. I think there's an analogy I heard sometime when if you have a goldfish bowl, and to keep a plastic ball at the bottom of the thing, you have to hold it down like that because it's natural. And you have a plastic ball, its natural state, the plastic ball will be to float on top of the water. If the hand is holding it down, it has to constantly hold it down at the bottom of the bowl. It has to be constantly holding it down. And if the hand is taken away at any time, the ball will immediately rise to the top and be in its natural state. So that, I think, is an analogy of where like the human consciousness is at. It has to be constant at this point because we're awakening really quickly. There's a raising of consciousness all the time, every day. Like I notice it every day. So they have to make sure that they have to be the symbolic hand that holds the ball down in everywhere you go. I can't even turn the radio on without being bombarded with some frequency or some word combination that triggers me to stay here, or a certain color, or a billboard, or a number plate, or somebody sitting next to me on the train who puts a bag there with Michael Kors as a brand name, which is MK. Why do I keep saying this? Why does it keep showing up all the time?
These are MK Ultra triggers.
Yes.
Much like the film They Live.
I think that was John Carpenter is if you look through John Carpenter's movies, they paint a perfect. He knows a lot more, like a lot of us do, knows a lot more than they're saying, and you can find a tapestry of truth throughout all his movies. But They Live is perfect example, yeah. Even down to the end of They Live, when there's a frequency thing which is holding kind of the face so that no one sees. You know, when he puts the sunglasses on and he's able to see, well, there's a frequency thing. I think that there is a frequency band that is running across everything here, which is somewhere, and I think it might be to do with HAARP, or it might be to do with something else, but that is running through, which is able to maintain the veil. That
reality management.
Yeah, they got it down. I mean, it's just like a perfect science, and the majority of people do not want to leave. They're way too frightened to leave. And
where would they go?
Well, they'll have to do the same thing on a really, really similar time strain planet somewhere else, because this planet isn't going to be like this. So they'll just disincarnate, because it's going to. The frequency is raising too quickly. So if you're sticking with the old way of thinking, which is the dense, heavy kind of, I need to control other people, which is kind of that old way, kind of draconian way of thinking, you'll just cease to be here anymore.
Is that called ascension?
Well, I'm not a big proponent of that, like, sort of symbolically, but I think when you start talking about ascension and all that, you start kind of getting tied up into the religious connection of, am I ascending? Well, that means you're creating polarity again, aren't you? You're going up or you're going down. I'm just changing the line of frequency that I'm on.
So who are these other races?
Okay.
You've got the Anunnaki, you've got the Nephilim, you've got the Athor, you've got the Valon, that some people call them.
Yeah.
Who are these things? Are they the butlers running the manor? And who's the lord and lady who should be running the manor?
Well, that's definitely perspective, isn't it? I mean, who do you? It's the democratic. Who do you want? Who do you feel?
It's the people who, in the Committee 300, they're the second degrees. They're essentially the servants.
Yes.
But somebody is running, puppet mastering.
It's always everything here is done in pyramid structure control theme. It has to be done, that way, hierarchically done in a pyramid structure. So essentially, it really would come down to the round table concepts. Then at the top, there's round tables that run Europe. There's round tables that run Australia and America, and then it would come down to. I think it comes down to 3 people at the very top. There's 3 people who come together and exchange ideas. I mean, you have these groups, CFR, and when there's tiers going back. But right at the top, there's 3, 5, 7, 11,
they
13.
Aren't people. They aren't human.
No. And I don't think.
I mean, these are reptilians that they split their. I mean,
the full blood reptilians. The full blood reptilians are not above ground. They don't. I mean, they can be, but they generally are not. They're not shapeshifters in the same way that that we're usually thinking. They aren't human at all. So if they do deal with like surface dwelling stuff, then they're using holographic technology to blend themselves in. You can put.
Do they get us to see them?
Yeah. So they
get us to do it.
Right.
They don't actually change.
They don't change. They're not changing at all. They're giving some frequency out, which is messing with our vision, which makes us see them the way that they want.
So, for instance, something we've discovered with the scuttlers and other types of creatures or things like that, you have about a 2.5 second delay before they stop. It tells you can't see it anymore.
Right.
Is that because it's like some kind of massive antenna system on the moon or something? Is that would give you
so with you're talking about those little, the small kind of
big
like
spiders the size of your
okay.
hand.
And so 2.5 second delay with what?
When you see it, you got 2.5 seconds max of perception.
Okay, so they're like a spot like around this big.
Yeah.
And they have legs about this long, maybe 6 legs. Not necessarily 8 legs like a spider, but I've seen those before. I've seen them a number of times, and I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. And and that's interesting, you said 2.5 seconds, because I usually only see them for a few seconds,
Yes.
and they fade away. And it's usually in a half-dazed state. It's like the in-between asleep and awake is when I've seen them. And they're on the ceiling.
Yeah.
I've seen them on the ceiling, going across the ceiling. Really unpleasant, actually, really unpleasant feeling to see them.
Okay, Max.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of hassle about James Casbolt, Michael
Okay.
Prince.
I know James Casbolt because I know him from when I was a child, and I was in a similar. I knew him physically when I was a kid, when we were little, from Brighton, and we were in a similar program then. I know him a little bit.
Now, this is important. Are you actually saying that James Casbolt is actually real in terms of being in some kind of super soldier type program?
I know that he was involved in rituals, and he was involved in some nasty stuff that goes on with kids. That's what I know for sure. The rest of it, I'm not going to comment on any of his other stuff that he's talked about. I know that there's a lot of things that James says that are absolutely for real, but I know for a fact that he likes to disinform and likes that, and likes to do that.
I mean,
too.
some people would call that a sociopathic liar.
Some people would, wouldn't they? Yeah.
So what do you think his game is? Apart from pissing everybody off.
Well, I think he wants to get well, and I think he wants to do all right, and I think some part of him wants to heal from the nastiness that went on, because I know that stuff isn't good. I think I've talked about it before with you. A lot of the Luciferian satanic ritual stuff, and a lot of the programming, the mind imprinting that goes on from 0 to 3 and then 3 to 7. You can create an adult when you program a child from 0 to 3 years old, and that's what was done, and that's what was done with a lot of people, well, a lot of us that were involved in those things.
How many of you is us?
Well, I think that there are. Well, this is what I know, actually. I think that 98% of children that were involved in these programs are dead now. And the ones that I'm talking about, majority were males. And the soul chose to leave the body on 99% of them. Some are still able to speak out about it. I'm speaking out about it because I wanted, since 2008, when I had a stream of memories come back, a lot of memories come back. I have been trying to find out exactly what's going on, because I need to know what happened, what actually happened. So when I say us, I think there were kids that were used from each continent, and they tested out. It's sort of like almost like a. There was a movie that came. I'm blanking out. They're testing one against. It's almost like they're making a competition. They're testing one against. They're playing one. It's like a video game. They're playing one against the other one.
So you mean you're being played against Casbolt? Casbolt being played against you and Haley and all that.
Yeah.
But Haley's in this as well as a monarch.
Yeah, absolutely. And
there are other monarchs came to the meetup that was held in the Barge Inn.
Oh, right.
On April 27th.
Okay.
And we've had other super soldiers come forward in England with multiple implants.
Oh, yeah.
And they seem to be engaged in something a little bit like meeting cat people ETs.
The feline, there's a feline race, which is a lion, sort of a lion race, and I think that they that's used in a lot of the Monarch programming, because that's I don't actually know why they use cats or what the deal with that is, but they use that as a training. So like they get turned into kitty cats, or like the whole Hello Kitty is based on that.
Yeah, Top Cat, all that.
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry, the mouse.
Totally, and that's just reinforced programming.
Scratchy.
Totally reinforced programming. Yeah. So
You also mentioned you'd met these shadow entities, the same kind of creatures that Sasha Christie and others have met, black shadow entities here in the crop circle area where we are in Wiltshire. There are crop circle makers who've claimed to, while they're making the crop circles, actually encounter big 6 foot or 7 foot black entities, shadow things.
And there, I think that there was deals made. These are.
I mean, these have been photographed.
Yeah,
and they seem very similar to Junior, as the black entity called Junior by Preston Nichols at Montauk.
Yeah.
And where I interviewed you before, you did have the Montauk book.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of connections.
Talk
to
about that very briefly.
Yeah. There's the Montauk boys. They generally used males in the Montauk project. They all used males in the Montauk project because of the hardwired energy of a male is like explosive energy, outward energy. And so in terms of using the trip seat, they wanted to have males in there because that is a way to project imagery into the ether to manifest it that way, whereas females the energy is more inside, internal. So they used males for that, and they used specific males that through Kundalini or sexual energy, you could manifest realities that way. I think that the trip seat is a back engineered part of a ship, some form of ship. And they're using that to manifest
now that's
reality.
very interesting. I mean, the trip seat is a term used by Barry King 20 years ago.
Okay.
So that seems to be verifying what he was saying.
I haven't seen that, but yes, definitely.
They use the trip seat in Peasmore, not too far away from here.
And that comes up a lot, Miles, doesn't it? Because I think that when we were in Vegas last year, whatever abduction or whatever shit happened with there, what I feel went on was that there was a mass abduction, but it was to make sure, sort of like they gathered everybody together, and then there was some, and this is nobody's fault. I think that from what I understand, we were kind of drawn in to do that. I think there is a soul contract that we had to come to a spot at one time, but then there's manipulation that went on, and now you either realize that there is a puppeteer, there is something going on. We are being moved around by an unseen force, marionetting.
I mean, the bottom line here is you're English.
Yeah.
Casbolt's English.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing in America? What's the link?
Right.
Why is the programming happening here in this country, in Britain?
Yeah, there's a special type of programming in the UK, I think, because and it doesn't go even talked about very much. I just know, even coming back here, because I haven't really spent much time back here. I've been more over in America for the last...
I mean, the Nazis were here in Vises during World War II.
They were
being used. They were so-called prisoners of war, but they seem to be used in some time-space experiments at Ludlow Manor.
Okay. I just know now, and looking back on it, the mind control that went on with as a child. I can see it all over the things I used to watch. It's funny. Okay, so you interviewed somebody, and I've forgotten his name, Miles. It's a really interesting interview. Bases 8.
Dave Marrow.
Yeah.
I spoke to another super soldier today who has Hulk out technology in him, and he sympathizes. He's done this sort of hulking out as Dave Marrow has done, and Dave again is connected with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Down in Truro.
Yeah. David definitely is, and I think I remember him mentioning. Well, I don't know, there was a TV program when I was a kid called Emu.
Yes, Emu.
With Rod with Rod Hull.
Yes, and a teddy bear type woman. There was a witch.
Well, she was a witch. She was a witch.
Yes, in the children's program.
Grotbags. She was a witch called. Her name was
Yes.
Grotbags on the TV program. Well, it's just very, 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 very specific programming in that, and I obsessively watched it, and it's not even very
So those are
entertaining.
children's programs being used from mass mind control through general mass media.
Yeah, Thames Television was heavily involved in that and deeply connected to it. I know you've talked about the BBC and Sky as well. Well, Thames, even the old school Thames logo, where you see the, I'd have to show it to you. Maybe you'd know it. It opens up Thames like that, and you see Thames it shows the as above, so below symbol like this. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, as in the film Mirage Makers, the Mirage Men. They're using that in the promo of the film.
Right.
Which is their Pennington and Lundberg and I forget.
It's reinforcing a lot of the occult stuff that was programmed into all of us who were involved in that. It was deep occult programming, and so it's the Star of David, which is supposed to be a Jewish symbol, is really just male and female joined together, or as above, so below. They always like to reinforce that.
Are we referring like to the inner earth here, or what?
The inner earth. I think
the lower realm with a black sun underneath us in the earth.
Yeah, and also that what I'm saying is whatever is going on here on the microcosm version is also going on a bigger scale, just in a different version. So if you're interviewing me here, then another version of that, another version of me and another version of you is having some form of interaction on a different frequency in a similar way.
Like a harmonic relationship.
Totally, and if it's happening here, it's happening
upper and lower octaves.
Yes, it has to, because that's the nature of this reality. So it has to, and they like to reinforce that a lot. And I'm not exactly sure why, but they're always doing that. I mean, even that symbol like this is. You'll see that.
I mean, the symbol of that we're using here for.
There's something I think particularly special about the Earth too. It seems to be a gem, and it seems to be really important. And if you can have control of here, then you can have control of many, many other spots too. I think the entrance point to this frequency is the sun, or the sun that we see that rises in the morning. I think it's Helios is the name of the sun, and it's a energy vortex point to enter this frequency or into this solar system. You come in and out of the sun.
And Saturn was our original sun.
Yeah, it was the original sun. Yes, and so you have that going on. You have all the planets are having relationships with each other too. The sun has a relationship with Saturn, so that's the above part. So down here, my relationship, I could represent one thing. In rituals, in ceremony, in any of that stuff, they're always replaying or being. That's what If I dressed up as, if I was sitting here dressed up as the sun and you were there dressed up as Saturn with that around you, there'd be a relationship going on like that. I'm trying to be clear here. Certainly Saturn now has become the controlling force.
I mean, it's key. That's why we had the Saturn V in the Apollo program. Originally Saturn was going to be in the 2001 Space Odyssey, but they couldn't get the rings to work properly in a special effect.
Totally, and I think I've talked about this with you before as well. I think this system on this planet is not circular, it's cubic, and we're all kind of, it's Rubik's Cube sort of thing, and the cube is represented
the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Hypercube.
Yeah. So multi-dimensional cube. And Saturn, the ring now, is representative of the controlling force, and I think that the moon, not being a natural object there, somehow is controlling the subconscious, so the human subconscious has been hacked, and then now we're manifesting a reality that is not ours. That is a reality.
So we are being used to
manifest a reality that they want, and that would be.
And who is they finally?
Right. So I think I think that the Orion group, which there's a planet called Betelgeuse, and there's a planet called Alpha Draconis, and the Aldebaran group as well are having a big hand in what's going on now, in kind of like the final showdown of what happens here. There's two or three factions that are kind of wrestling to have final control and can say, like, we got it, we take over from now. And there is a transition, there is the end of this, we're going into a new eon. It is the Eon of Horus. This is like there is a new world, there is a new age, but there's just like a final battle to see who can take control and take hold of it.
How does this battle work? How does it?
Well, it's the unseen war, it's the silent weapons for a quiet war, because an overt war, a war where you can see, where you're using guns, where you're using bombs, is crude and can always be shut down. If you attack somebody while you smile at them or buy them dinner and then take them over, you will always do better that way. So I think that who and how, it's so kind of hidden and secret that it's difficult to know, and how it's going to transpire.
Well, maybe a pint of alien abduction beer might help us. So
you think it would?
We'll cut for that and say good night.
Brilliant, well.
But I mean, as far as this is concerned, this is for Life University in 30 seconds.
Right. Okay, so I want to bring that. Okay.
Especially the involvement of.
Well, what's been coming up for me at the moment is really like looking at. Hi,
hello, Max.
Hi, Miles.
Good to see you back in Devices.
Nice to see you. How are you?
We're in a post-disclosure situation since the last time you've talked, and briefly that means that MI6 agent, a retiring MI6 agent called Peter Paget, declared in public at the Warminster thing in August last year that the whole UFO thing is real.
Right.
And but he's only allowed to say it to no more than about 150 people, so he kept within the rules. But one of the things he said is about the whole ET thing, he went into a great deal of detail, was the structure of the way the planet is run. And he explained how that went in a pyramid sort of structure, but there are other levels of control of others above. Also suggested there was going to be a change in that situation.
Okay.
So you're able to talk a lot about the details in the various meanings of things.
Yes. So what I can talk to you about is the unfolding of it here, and how it's reflected throughout society, and how I don't have the specifics on the detail of the hierarchy of the ET hierarchy, but I do know that there's been an exchange. There's been exchange over of power. If you want to say that the Anunnaki, as we know them, the Anunnaki has been sort of the head or in control of this planet, and sort of like finalizing details. But it was handed to them, so they were never at the top. They were never at the top anyway. So it was the Orion. I'm going to use the word queens. The Orion feminine energy from the Orion. They're called the Orion group.
This is also echoed by Stuart Sverdlow, who essentially said one lot of is going to go.
There's a handover. There's a shift. Yeah, back. Well, because they were, maybe you could call it leased. They were leasing it. They were leasing the control of the planet for a certain amount of time from this other consciousness. Now they have to give it back.
Now, this was discussed at the Secret Space Program conference near Austin in Texas.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And they mentioned about contracts. If humanity was able to get its act together and renegotiate the lease,
right,
so to speak, we could then control our own domain.
We've handed over our power, though. We've handed over our power to these people for the longest time, anyway. So it's not. I don't think it's really in our hands to be able to negotiate anything very much if we've handed over our power to them. It's about understanding why we did that in the first place, and understanding how this reality is created and built, and having an understanding of that, and understanding that the subconscious is what creates this reality.
The reason why I'm suggesting this about this handover of power, because and about the lease that you're talking about, is there's a premise, there's a possibility at this time, whether it is a possibility, not another one or not, but we could essentially take control of the situation before the next lot get back in.
Right. Now, I'd gone into talking about the reality and how reality was being made, and that's sort of where I'm at to talk about. So, in terms of that, so if reality is being made through the subconscious, and the subconscious has been hijacked, okay, so then this is basically what's been done. So they have created thought prisons throughout all of our time. So thought prisons being philosophical thought prisons, or religious thought prisons, or any of the ones that are like that. They don't mind which one you buy into, as long as you buy into one of them and give it wholeheartedly, give your whole heart into it. Because essentially, like I've been trying to work on at the moment and explain, that this is a war on the human heart, and Earth is the final part of multiple other planets that this has been done to, and Earth is the heart center place. So they're trying to take control of the Earth because it's the heart. And by the way to do that is attack innocence. And the first thing you're going to do if you're going to take over a planet is you want to take away the strongest male energy. So that's been done very calculatedly, especially over the 20th century, with the inversion of the original Baphomet. The original Baphomet, I think we were talking to you about this earlier, wasn't an androgynous goat of Mendes pointing as above, so below like that at all. But Eliphas Levi then created this goat to show what it would be to externally create a male and female in one body, to have an androgynous being that way. And I think I've talked about the Mona Lisa being sort of the same thing. It never made any sense to me why that particular picture or that particular painting was the most famous painting in the world. Why? It's not a fantastic painting.
Yeah, that's the mystery about why is it a mystery.
And then you have Mona, and in Freemasonry they use the word Mona a lot because it's Ammon. It's an anagram for Ammon. And then Lisa, which would be in Italian, it would be El Isa, which is Isis. So it's like the union of Ammon-Ra and Isis into one body. That's what the Baphomet is. That the goat that they're always showing, that imagery that Eliphas Levi painted and created. So to take out the planet, first of all, they need to take away the strong males of the planet. And so there's a massive push and a surge to emasculate the males on this planet. And it's a very touchy subject because you can't really go too far with it without being called a bigot or without being called...
Well, it's a bit like the Jew term that immediately triggers...
You're immediately condemned if you say anything that goes against kind of the mainstream thought of that. So I'm being careful, and I'm not prejudiced in any way, but there is quite clearly an agenda going on with that, and the Jenner story, which showing that they could, right in front of our eyes, take a gold medal Olympic athlete and then turns him into a female, was also embedding into the subconscious that look what we can do, look what we can do to you if we want to.
It's like the Monarch program, the first model they used, one of America's finest model ladies, and they mind controlled her and
yeah. Well,
they can take the finest and the best of what you've got. And we
yeah,
can just
they exactly that. And then that's quite clearly an agenda for anyone who's sort of got their eyes open to see that. Talking about the man, talking about that, if you're trying to attack the human heart and you're trying to finish that's the earth is the heart, and our connection to the earth. All the human beings on the earth are connected to the heart, and the attack on children and the pedophile rings that are attached to all the things that are going on at the moment are to do with attacking the innocence of human beings.
And a lot of these children's homes are on energy lines, so that the trauma from what those children go through is ingested into the earth's energetic system.
Yeah, so all of it's an inversion of all the sacred geometrical, the natural creative sacred geometrical patterns have been inverted. So all the Gothic cathedrals, all of the sort of main buildings, all of the architecture, architecture goes back to masonry as well. They have all the grid lines, they have the maps, and they have all the information for all the grid lines all over the planet. So they've been doing that, and they've managed to, not just because we tend to think of all the old, the old Gothic buildings being the ones that are sacredly geometrically built, but all the modern stuff is as well. It's just it's unseen. It's not as clear. When you walk into a cathedral, you quite clearly see that it's there, but it's also with the modern buildings. It's the same way. So they're inverting. I was in addition to this. So with their slow, they can't implement this. They can't put this all into play like immediately. It has to be done in a drip, slowly put it into place, because otherwise people would revolt against it. But slowly they've been being able to increase the amount of vileness in like mainstream television, slowly with creating animated television that is we're told that it was created for adults, like South Park or like Family Guy. We're told these are adult shows, but anytime you're going to have an animated show, they know that children are going to be drawn to it, especially with South Park when it's being based around children. So children are watching the most unbelievably vile things, and that's an attempt again it's one of the sidearms of taking away the innocence, because the core heart is innocence.
Christine Joanna Hart, who you've been on her show, she's mentioned about her child and about the kind of books that they're being read, that they have to read as part of their education course. It has slaughter and blood and all sorts of horrendous things. And this is dismissed as just, this is an award-winning author, you should be reading it. But this is for children, not, this is for young children.
You want to keep an eye on who's writing the children's books. And, you see a lot of celebrities writing children's books. I'm not going to name any names, but you can go and look around and find that I name one. Madonna has written a number of children's books. There are others too. Like, it's out there pretty much that Madonna is a high priestess, and it's very clear if you watch any of her number of her performances at any of the big shows that she's doing ritualistic work. She's doing that, and she's writing children's books because they want to get to children, because children is the raw innocence. They're not so much interested in the later years, because you sort of already adapted your thought patterns and your thought prisons. You've already sort of dealt with that. You already dealt with, so they're not interested. So they're always going after the children. They're increasingly the children's books are increasingly vile. And I'll bring up Roald Dahl, and I remember being read Roald Dahl when I was a kid, and Roald Dahl, I was always fascinated by his stories, and they are quite brilliant, but they also are quite vile as well. And Roald Dahl was an MI6 agent and worked with
Ian Fleming?
Crowley, Fleming, and Dahl, and Churchill actually all worked together. But I know, on this particular thing, Dahl was working with Fleming, and